Robert,
Yo,
welcome, dude.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because lately we've had a few law enforcement officers on and just sharing their story, like their real side of
Yeah.
their time as a cop. And we got bullshitting in the gym, and you mentioned some things real quick, and I was like, oh my god, we got to talk because you went through some pretty rough times, and I'd say life kind of spiraled out. It started to, and you
Yeah.
kind of got out of hand from some things you had to deal with as a cop.
Mhm.
And you were in during the George Floyd era and dealing with all of that crap. And I don't know how prominent it was in your area, but it was a ripple effect across the U.S. and the hate and just everything you guys were dealing with. And kind of we were mentioning a little bit ago, like I haven't had the best, experiences with law enforcement, but it was always my fault. I was always that guy. I'm always stunting on the bike or doing something stupid. So
Yeah.
I asked for it 99% of the time. But it's like now that been able to talk and be able to give a platform for law enforcement officers to have a voice, it's been wild. Like
Yeah.
and you have this crazy story. I mean, you had to deal with the death of a child, really fucked you up a bit, kind of set you on that path. And then obviously you got everything lined out and you're doing pretty incredible now.
Yeah,
And at least what I can see. So
Life's good now.
let's jump into it, dude. I just want to have this conversation with you and get to know you and see you in the gym every single day. You're a big ass dude, and
Thank you.
and so yeah. So why don't we just start? Who are you and where are you from?
Oh, shoot. Robert Woodworth. I'm actually born in Boise, so I can claim local.
Okay.
I was adopted, moved out to Sonoma County, Bay Area, lived out there for the past 27, 28 years. And, it's funny. It's like, as little kids, you grow up and like little boys, they want to be an astronaut, policeman, or a firefighter. And from the earliest time that I could remember, it was just, I want to be a cop. I want to
Really?
be a police officer. That's the only thing I ever wanted to do.
Really?
And I don't know why it stuck with me. I don't know why, the reasoning behind it, but it was just, that was my goal.
Okay.
And I lived in a town, Sonoma, like the city of Sonoma.
Yeah.
And it was a contract city for the sheriff's office. And so it was really cool to see their police cars. They had really cool tan and green uniforms. They were the prestigious law enforcement agency. And just growing up, being around them, they were always friendly whenever I saw them. I just was like, this is what I want to do. And so just kind of growing up, I lived my life towards that. In high school, I did stupid things, but I was always cognizant of like, I have bigger things that I want to do later on, and this is what I'm working for. And so that's what I wanted to do. I did my partying, I did my explorative stuff and, had fun, but I never got myself into serious trouble where I knew it was going to affect me in the long run.
Yeah.
My folks provided me with an amazing life that I can't say thank you enough. We had the opportunity to travel. I grew up in the Bahamas, grew up in the Gulf. Like that's where we spent our summers. So I had the opportunity to see third world countries, different people, different walks of life.
So you had a completely different perspective of life
Yeah.
than I would say probably 90% of the people you're growing up with.
Yeah, 100%. I spent a lot of time, like for a short period of time, my brother and I and the whole family, we moved down to St. John in the Virgin Islands.
Really?
And lived there. I was the
Really?
minority.
What was that like?
Oh, it was a trip. I mean, it was so cool. So we went down there, and we got enrolled in school. We got enrolled in church. We did the whole 9 yards, and it was weird because my brother and I were the only white people.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to have that minority feeling there. And we went to school every day. We would get out about 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and just go play in the ocean for the rest of the day. And so we'd go snorkeling.
Really?
Yeah, I remember sitting at this desk in school and I didn't pay attention at all. And I would just look out the window and count the iguanas in the tree. And it'd be like 30, 40 of them. I'd never seen anything like it.
No shit.
Yeah. And so we had such a cool opportunity to do that kind of stuff growing up. And then, we zoned into the Bahamas and my folks ended up buying property down there. And so every summer we'd go down there for 2 weeks at a time and just live on the beach and have fun there. So it was really cool to have that experience.
Yeah.
You don't appreciate it when you're a little kid,
For sure.
but growing up and kind of getting that maturity and looking back, I'm like, dude, that's pretty cool. And
That's a pretty cool experience.
so it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I went to high school, grew up playing baseball. That was the big thing. And once kind of the rule in the family is once you start playing baseball, you inherit a nickname. So my last name's Woodworth. And when you start playing baseball, you inherit Woody.
Yep.
And that was my dad's name when he played ball, his dad's name when he played ball. And so when I started, I took that name on.
Okay.
And so I grew up playing baseball, swimming, water polo after high school. I know we touched base on it. Like I immediately jumped out onto my own, got my first apartment. Probably wasn't much bigger than this room. And,
You'll always remember that
oh my
apartment,
God,
though.
yeah. I remember, I'll never forget it. I remember the first time going grocery shopping. I swear to God, everyone knew it was my first time grocery shopping by myself. Everyone was staring at me. And I walked out with like milk, bread, peanut butter, no cereal, no jelly, ran out of toilet paper, toothpaste, like all the stuff you take for granted from your mom.
You're like,
Yeah.
I don't even have salt or pepper
Oh,
or
yeah.
no condiments,
I
anything.
ruined all of my clothes because I heat dried everything. Came out super small. So, dude, it was such a hard learning curve, but
That's
yeah.
learning, though.
Yeah, 100%. That's growing up. But I went to the junior college, and I got the opportunity. Coming out of high school, I got the opportunity to go to college for baseball.
Okay.
And so a school in St. Louis, they flew me out. They did the whole recruitment weekend thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I went out, practiced with the team. They showed me a good time, breakfast, lunch, showed me the school. Everything was super cool about it. I loved it. I just don't think I was ready to leave California.
Okay.
And so I met with the DA, or not the DA, the principal or person in charge of the college. And he basically was, it's a wild conversation, but I was 18 years old, and he says, we got beautiful girls here, just as beautiful in California. We got blondes, brunettes, whatever you're worried about, we got here. And I'm like, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here for that. I'm here to play baseball and learn. And so it kind of turned me off to it a little bit. And
really,
yeah, like just to have a conversation with an adult and someone who's in charge of a college, and the only thing he was talking about was how he has pretty girls on campus. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wasn't ready to leave California. I had goals, like I wanted to work for the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
And so I told him that. So I chose to go to the junior college, did that for 2 years. I enrolled as a police intern there. Actually, it's a pretty funny full circle story in that. So it was a 2-year program. Mm-hmm. It was paid. And you learned how to do traffic stops, talk on the radio. You give escorts to students at night if they needed it. You'd lock up the campus, and on the side, you would learn how to search a person, how to handcuff, building searches, and it was just basically an introduction into law enforcement.
So you're getting like a temp program in a way. Okay, that's pretty cool.
It kind of introduced me to law enforcement because prior to that, like I'm the first in the family. I've never had or been personal in law enforcement before. And so that was an introduction into like, hey, this is kind of what we do here. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. It was everything I wanted it to be, everything I dreamed it to be.
Okay.
I was always super fun, loving, laughing, joking. Like I loved it. And I made the most of it. And so it was a 2-year program. I stayed there for 2 years. I think I was 19. And, like cops don't give nurses or other cops tickets and stuff like that. So I got into the mindset, and I think I was 19 years old. And I had a motorcycle, and I was ripping through town, and I ended up getting stopped by a sheriff, and I was a police intern. I had a little police intern badge, and I remember he got me dead to rights. I even thought about it for a second. I was like, I could probably get away from him because he was at a dead stop. I flew by him going 60 on the way up, accelerating, and I thought I was a badass on my motorcycle.
Yep.
So I see him flip around, and I'm like, oh, shoot, he's got me. I could probably ditch him, though. And I thought about it. I was like, I'll just stop. So I stopped. We started talking, and I was like, yeah, my bad. I'm coming from work. I just got off. I'm a police intern at the JC department. I'm late to go see my parents, whatever the excuse was. And he said, oh, you're a police intern there. Who's your sergeant? And so I said,
oh no. You shouldn't have said shit.
Okay.
You shouldn't have said shit.
I'm sitting there in my mind. I'm like, okay, it's kind of turning. This might work out in my favor. And I was like, oh, his name is, Sergeant Potter. And he's like, oh, what are the chances of me and him working together in CHP? And in my mind, I'm like, fuck yeah, I just got out of this. We're good. And so then he just immediately turns it on me. He's like, call him right now. And so call him on the spot. I'm like, hey, Sergeant, I have someone here who wants to talk to you. So hand the phone over. And this is a Deputy Hoffler. That's his name. And so he goes back to his motorcycle. They're talking, stuff like that. He comes back. Gives me the phone. He's like, I should be snipping your license right now and towing your bike. But Potter said, you're a good kid. You do well, this and that. So I'm going to cut you a break, but you got to slow it down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, sir. Thank you. And then he's like, you're also going to have a conversation with him. I'm like, cool. I expect that.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, all right, it works. cool, this is great. And so I drove away. Well, sure enough, I show up to work the next day, and I have a sit-down conversation with him. I get put on probation with this police internship.
Oh, no shit. Are you
Like, you're not
tripping at
allowed-
this point?
Yeah, I was like, oh, God, this is actually so much worse. And so I got put on probation. I couldn't promote, so I couldn't be like a training officer. I couldn't be a sergeant. Couldn't do any of that. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. And then I had to write a handwritten note and deliver it to the deputy and say, like, I'm sorry for speeding. You know, I realized it was going to hurt someone or be dangerous or whatever. So I wrote that. And then I'll tie that back in later on in the story because it's pretty funny. So I had that experience, graduated from the cadet program after 2 years. And at that point, I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 years old. And in order to buy a handgun in California, you got to be 21. And I timed it out. So I put myself into the police academy. So where I'd graduate the academy and I'd be 21. And so, but you need a gun in the academy. So my dad ended up having to buy my gun. He's never touched a gun. He's never experienced anything with a gun. And so I'm like, hey, Dad, I applied to the academy. I got in. He's like, that's great, fantastic, cool. I need you to go buy a gun for me.
You have to provide your own gun for the academy?
If you're not sponsored, so if you're not hired by an agency,
Okay.
you got to provide your own gun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I went in as a non-sponsor, so I'm paying my own way.
Yep.
And it's kind of, there's two ways to look at it. Like a sponsored guy has a job. He has a job on the line. So if he fails the academy, he's losing a job.
Okay.
But also like an unsponsored person, you got to prove yourself a little bit because there's nothing backing you. You know, you're putting all your money in your mouth, you know, like you're doing it yourself. And so I was like, I want to do this. I'll be 21. I'm eligible to be hired. And I think like I can do it. I can do this. And so we went to a gun store and I had to prep them for it. I'm like, listen, there's a few like do's and don'ts, right? And you go in there, you say, hey, I want to look at this gun. This is what kind of gun. It's a Glock 17, 9mm. That's all I need. And he's like, okay, cool. I was like, you don't pull the trigger and you don't point it at someone. And he's like, got it. Cool. And so we go in the store and we find the Glock. I said, this is the gun, this and that. So he's like, okay, cool. Can I hold it? This and that. So a guy brings the gun out on the table, clears it, registers it, safe. And the first thing my dad does is grabs a gun, points it at the dude and just goes click. Right at the gun dealer. I'm like, oh no. So the guy immediately grabs a gun and says, hey, sorry, you're done.
Yeah.
And so we have to leave that store. I'm like, we just went over this. Like, you did the two things you can't do. And he's like, well, what? I got to make sure it works. I'm like, yeah, it works, Dad. It works. Okay. And so we can't do that. So we got to go to another gun store and then we go ahead and buy it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't even my gun. It was my dad's gun in the academy.
No shit.
Yeah, it was horrible. And once we turned 21, we got it all registered in my name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed up. And day one of the academy, everyone's all stressed out in the parking lot. But I was prepared. I knew the radio codes. I knew how to dress my uniform. I knew what a gig line was.
Oh, okay.
I got to polish my boots because the 2 years of internship, all we did was that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit more relaxed, but I also knew that I'm like, this is real, right? And so we all lined up, alphabetical order. It was a complete shit show, right? Everyone has no idea what's going on. It was me and another dude from the same intern program. So we're both last names start with W, so we were right next to each other. And we're like sitting there like, this is cake. And I remember the first day, we're standing at attention. They're ripping batons out, guns, ripping us apart, yelling at us, screaming at us, the whole nine yards. Not what they do today. Today's very soft. And I didn't get an academy experience like 20 years ago where it was very militaristic.
For sure.
But no, like our RTOs would rip our batons out. They'd grab us. They'd tear our uniform. They would do stuff to us. And now they just don't touch anything. They can't do anything. They can't touch. They're just very sensitive. And that's just today's world. But I remember we lined up. We're standing at attention. Everyone's just getting their ass handed to them. And we're sitting there like in the back like, what the fuck did we sign up for? And there was a dude front and center, ex-military dude, should have been squared away, you would think.
Depending on the branch.
Air Force. Yeah. So
facts.
Yeah. And so this dude, I swear to God, his uniform was probably crumpled into a ball the size of a tennis ball.
Oh, and he puts it on?
And he put it on. I mean, you could draw a map with all the lines on it.
Just a topography
shit
map?
Show. Yeah, just a shit show. And he didn't know what keepers were, so his belt was all hanging off, and he had like a quick release mag or a quick release holster.
Okay.
So it's just a button and the gun comes right out. And so he's standing front and center, and I feel so bad for him. And they ripped him apart. And so we had this little manual thing. This is so funny. We had a manual thing that we were supposed to bring. We were supposed to read it and then bring it.
Okay.
And so they say, hey, everyone brought their manuals? Yep. Did you guys read them? Yep. This kid, front and center, he's like, yep, read it. Yep, brought it. They're like, cool, go get it. And everyone just pulls it out, and he doesn't pull it out. And they're like, where is it? He's like, well, I figured we'd go over it in class. Okay, so why didn't you bring it? Well, because I already read it. And so because of him, we all ran until we fucking had cramps, sweating, this and that. And at the end of the day, he was the attention for the whole first day. Like, I just felt so bad.
You never want to be that guy.
No.
Ever.
Absolutely not. Whether it's boot camp, an academy, you don't want to be the center of attention.
No.
You just want to blend in.
Yep.
And so at the end of the first day, I knew a couple people, and I'm like, that dude's not coming back. Like that guy just got his ass handed to him for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he showed up the next day, and we became really good friends. He got his shit squared away. But
good for him. Usually they don't.
I was shocked. And then, but he showed up the next day. We went through the academy. I was the youngest one. I was the only one that was 20.
Did you catch shit for that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I was always super young, and I looked really young. Like, I weighed probably 175 pounds.
Okay.
And I was very young. I think the next one up was probably 24, 25.
Okay.
And then the oldest was 50. He was a Marine Corps, full career Marine Corps. And he got hired by Stockton PD, and he was in there with two other guys.
50?
He was in there 50 years old. And
going through a police academy.
Badass, total badass. But
Damn,
it was anywhere from me being at 20 to 50 years old. And
that is a huge range.
yeah, it was crazy. But we had a small class. I think it was like 20 or 21. And we all got along really well. The academy, I loved it. I thrived in it because it was nice to show up. You don't have to think, do anything. Mm-hmm. And then they took me out for my 21st birthday. Absolutely wrecked me.
Yeah, I was going to say, how'd that go?
Oh, my God. I think – so we had Wednesdays off. My birthday was on a Tuesday. So Tuesday at midnight, we all met up. And they just fed me every drink under the sun. And it was a shit show. They ended up having to carry me home. I was a rag doll. And I remember waking up the next day in my apartment. Again, no bigger than this room. Studio apartment. I woke up and I had like someone in my bed, someone on my couch. I was laying on the floor. I was shirtless in my PT sweats. And I was like, who the fuck changed me? That's all I cared about. I didn't even register that people were in my apartment. I was like, how the fuck did I get changed? And I had this raspberry on my back. I'm like, oh my God, my back is sore. Turns out they dropped me down the stairs. Like a full flight of stairs. They just dropped me. So we showed up the next day, Thursday. I was hurt for 24 hours.
Oh, I bet.
I like the kettle salt and pepper chips at the end of the day saved my life, dude. I had a big bag of them. That's the only thing. I sat in a park in silence. I watched geese swim in a pond, and I just sat there and just stared. And, dude, that was the only thing I ate that day. So I showed up the next day, and I was the center of attention. Everyone was laughing at me, all the jokes, whatever. And so we had a really good bond, and everyone was starting to get hired by police departments that weren't sponsored.
Oh, cool.
We had agencies come in and recruit. So I knew I wanted the sheriff's office. That was the only department I wanted. It was that.
Is it hard to get into the sheriff's department?
Yeah.
Is it pretty political? Or?
It's not necessarily political, but the sheriff's office was always known as like, hey, this is the elite agency.
Okay.
Like, this is where people go if they want to be the best. And I always had the highest respect for them. I loved the department, loved what they stood for. Yeah. It was very well known. And it was kind of transitioning out of this, but it was very well known that, like, if the tan and green show up, shit's serious now.
Got it.
Like, problems are going to get handled, And back in the day, they had a history of, like, the tan and green shows up, someone's going to the hospital.
Okay.
Like, we're not here to fuck around.
Shit.
They're going to handle things.
Okay.
And so I love that mentality. I love the old school mentality of, like, we're not here to beat around the bush. We're going to cut straight to the point. And I wanted to be part of that brotherhood. I wanted to be part of that, because it just felt right.
Yeah.
And, but obviously in the beginning, I'm like, I'm going to take any job that comes my way. And so I applied to another agency, and they were super eager at first. They loved everything about me. And then after a couple weeks, I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, all right, whatever, no big deal. So I submitted an app to the sheriff's office. And one of the gals in the class, her dad was a very well-respected retired lieutenant. And I reached out to her. I said, hey, can I pick your dad's brain? Just because I'm going to interview. I had an interview lined up. Mm-hmm. And so we sat down, and he ran me through an oral board, and he ran me through interviews. And interviewing for a department is unlike anything you've ever done. Like,
really?
Yeah. I mean,
What's
you
it
sit
consist
down. So you sit down in a room, you wear full suit and tie, but you typically sit in a room with 3 to 4 people interviewing you. And it's just you and them at a table, and they have your resume, they have everything about you right there. And it's typically like a sergeant, an FTO, and a deputy, or some sort of specialty like defensive tactics instructor. So it's a different variety, different perspectives with deputies or officers, whatever the department is. And then they each ask a series of questions, and it's like, what's integrity mean to you? How do you apply that to your life? Couple scenario questions. What's the most stressful situation you've ever been in, and how have you handled it? Especially for me, right out of the rip, I'm like, hey, listen, I just turned 21. On paper, I'm a 21-year-old kid that should theoretically still be in college.
Yeah.
But this is the life that I've had. I've grew up in third world countries. I've traveled. I've experienced a lot more than most people.
Yep.
This is something I've worked very hard for. It's all I've ever really wanted. This is the agency that I want to work for. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get here. If that means go to another agency or go to the jail for 5 years to get to patrol, I'll do it.
Really?
Yeah, and I want it.
How did they respond to that? I feel as if I was conducting that, that's what I would want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, they don't give you feedback, but I could tell that was a very good response. They were pleased with that. They take notes and stuff like that. And I think another big thing was, the most stressful situation you've been in and how you've handled that. There's not a whole lot of things that a 21-year-old has seen.
Yeah, you haven't even started life yet.
Like the most stressful thing is like, oh shit, there's a cop behind me and I've had a beer.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And so I had an experience probably less than a year before that interview where it was the most stressful experience of my life. And it was me and 2 guys. We were out riding motorcycles. And one of them had just gotten his license, like 2 weeks, 2 weeks on a bike. He got this CBR 1000, just an absolute crotch rocket, goes 0 to God in 3 seconds. And we went for a ride, and I remember I'm like, hey, man, we're going to take Bennett Valley Road. And this road is just a windy hill, goes up and over a hill, goes into Sonoma Valley.
Yep.
If you take it at a slow speed, it's very technical in the aspect of like, you're going to learn how your bike handles, right? That's where I learned. And if you go at a very fast pace, it's fast and very technical. So it's very dangerous. A lot of people crash. A lot of people die on the road. And I was like, we're just going to go slow cruise. We'll just cruise it, and we'll go at a pace that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And at any point, like, it's not anything out of this world, but it's just a back country road that goes through the hills.
Yeah.
And so we go out on the ride, and probably 10, 15 minutes into it, we start climbing the hill. And on that first turn, and I'm leading, my buddy's in the middle, the newest guy's in the back, and I'm leading. We're going 30, 35 miles an hour. And I remember just peeking in the mirror. Good, he's still there. He's keeping up. We're doing well, this and that. And that very first turn, I just look back, and I just see nothing but dust.
Oh, God.
I'm like, shoot, okay. So I flip around really quick. I almost dump my bike. I flip around. I run over. He's in the ditch. His bike is torn to shit. Like, keep in mind, I wasn't going very fast. My buddy wasn't going very fast. We're not sure what happened. And it turns out he whiskey throttled it.
For sure.
So, and in first gear, that bike goes 0 to 60 immediately.
That's all I rode was 1,000 for
years.
And no, that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bike that's just insane. And for a first bike, 1,000 is
it's a lot.
Wild, but he's going to do whatever he's going to do. And so I just see nothing but dust. I turn around, I run over. He's in the ditch, and, he's got his helmet. He's got a vest on, but just jeans. His shoes are off. Just knocked him good.
Yep.
And he went headfirst into an oak tree.
Oh, shit.
And so there was a split down the middle of his helmet. Brand new helmet, split right down the middle. And so I get in the ditch with him. I tell my buddy, hey, I need you to call 911. And the area is kind of spotty cell service-wise. Yeah. And so he's trying to coordinate with 911, like, hey, they can't find us. What do I do? This and that. Meanwhile, I ended up pulling him onto me, and I'm holding him like this, and I got his head in my lap here. And I can't remember if I took the helmet or not. I don't think I took it off. I just sat there. I flipped the visor up, and he's foaming. He's doing everything that you shouldn't see. Foaming at the mouth, seizing up. And typically, like humans, as like a spider, when they die, they curl in.
Yeah.
And instead of that, he was curling out. And his fingers were kind of curling in different ways. So it's like a sign of like really traumatic brain injury. Yep. So he's foaming, he's doing that, and he's seizing up, non-responsive, not breathing. not doing anything, and just stiff as a board. And so I'm saying, hey, Travis, dude, like, you're going to be okay. We got you, this and that. Help's on the way. Can you wake up? Can you open your eyes? Do something for me. And while I'm trying to deal with this, my buddy can't get the services on the way.
God.
And so I tell him, like, hey, listen, we're approximately 2 miles west of the fire department, Station 11 on Bennett Valley Road. And so finally fire gets there. And we're all police interns. Like, this is before.
This guy, too, that crashes a police intern?
We're all police interns. We're all at the JC together. This is before the academy. And so I'm telling this story in my interview, and I said, I got to coordinate with this guy that's on the phone because 911 can't find us. I'm having to deal with my buddy in here, do the best I can to make him comfortable, try to get him responsive, do something. And so finally, services show up, CHP, medical. They cart him off into the hospital, and the CHP guy is like drilling us. He's like, why the fuck are you guys racing? You can't be doing that. Your buddy's going to be dead. We should be hauling him off in a body bag. I'm like, dude, we're not racing. Take the bike, do an investigation on it, do whatever. We weren't going fast.
Yeah.
And he was just drilling us. He's like, you just killed your buddy, this and that. You killed him. You guys are racing. He shouldn't have a bike like this. You guys are all out here dragging, blah, blah, blah. I deal with it all the time. And I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. Like, go fuck yourself. At that point, I was like, whatever. And I didn't drop the, hey, we're all police interns. I wasn't going to do that again.
You learned your lesson the first time.
And so I was like, you know what, man, here's my contact info. We're leaving. So we drove straight to the hospital. And then sure enough, it was like, he wasn't going to make it through the night.
Really?
He's going to be a vegetable. He's going to be severely handicapped, completely dependent on family. He's going to be handicapped, but he'll be able to kind of go about life in a little bit. And he had to relearn everything. He was basically, he hit the hard reset button.
Really?
To the point where he was a baby. And so he had to relearn how to do everything. And it was probably 2-3 years, and he made a full recovery. Good. It was impressive. And for that first year, I mean, we spent every day in the hospital, whether it be, hey, we're at work, hospital, or hospital, then go to work. It was just, we were there every single day. So we watched him progress through that. It was just a really cool time. But in the moment in my life when I was interviewing, that was the most stressful situation. And I handled it, and I was calm. I understood what was happening. Like, I didn't know the severity of it, but I was able to talk and function and handle not being able to be located, this and that. And so they really respected that as well, because it was a high stress moment.
For sure.
And as a 21-year-old, I was able to function.
Yeah, and talk your way and be able to think through it. A lot of people can't.
Yeah. And so I did well in the interview, the oral board. They said, all right, go ahead, have a seat outside. And 10 minutes after the interview, they said, hey, you're in backgrounds. So I'm like, great.
So that's the next step.
Next step.
Okay.
So I passed that. I immediately met with a background investigator. They gave me a packet that was just like the size of a dictionary. I said, here you go, fill this out. And it's everything you've ever done in your life, good and bad.
So pretty much you're doing a secret clearance.
Yeah, exactly.
That way.
And so we did that, and it took months. And I was still in the academy, so now I'm balancing the academy, doing everything in there while getting hired. So on my off time, I was doing paperwork for the sheriff's office, doing this and that. And then at graduation, I was offered a conditional job offer.
Oh, okay.
So, which means hey, we're going to give you the job. All you got to do is do a medical and psych eval. Yeah. And then the job's yours, right? Assuming you pass all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, no problem. So we do the psych, we do the medical, everything comes back good. They end up hiring me. And in October of 16, I get hired on. And this is probably what messes me up the most. Is my dad's very stoic. Okay. He's East Coaster, very hardened. He's had not an easy life, but not a very extreme hard one compared to others. But he definitely lived quite a life. And he's just a dad that you've never seen cry. You don't see emotion from him, right? Yeah. You don't see him excited. He's just very flat East Coaster.
Old school dad.
And the swearing day, I couldn't look at him.
Really?
Yeah. So it was the only time I've ever seen him emotional.
Really?
Yeah. And
that tore you up, huh?
It tears me up every time. Because there's a moment where I truly saw him he's proud of me.
Yeah.
And that means I've accomplished something I wanted when I was little. I grew up. I lived the life towards this. I made my mistakes, but I learned from them. And I put myself here. Yeah. I put the work in at the academy. I wasn't hired before. I interviewed. I got myself to this point. And to see him be proud of me like that, it broke me. And I couldn't look at him in the crowd. He pinned me, and I couldn't look at him. You know, it was just such a proud moment for me to see that from my dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you got to think to your dad too, man. I mean, to watch
yeah.
his son accomplish so many different things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we want as parents is to see your kids live out their dreams, and here you are, and he gets to pin you on. That's a pretty cool moment.
Oh, it was amazing, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is cool. This is where I need to be.
Yeah.
And I was always like a fun kid. I loved the party scene. I liked being social. I liked being at events. I liked doing things.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when I started out doing the job, I absolutely loved it. You know, and it was like, I wanted to take people to jail. I wanted to get in car pursuits. I wanted to get drugs. I wanted to do and make that difference, you know. But I also wanted to do things that are unorthodox for cops, which is like show up to events unannounced, where it's like, hey, we're going to the Cinco de Mayo festival, where like they fucking hate us, right?
Yeah.
And in that area, it was in an area of Santa Rosa that's like, they don't like us. Let's just be honest,
Yeah.
you know. And at the beginning of my shift, I told my buddy, I was like, we're going, right? So we went there. Turns out, dude, like, I got shoved so many churros. I ran out of stickers within 3 minutes. Like, I took photos with the mariachi band. They dressed me up. Like, dude, it was a great time. Like, I loved it because it was a community event that wasn't planned for social media purposes. It was just, we showed up.
It's
and
policing.
And we showed up and we were like, dude, we're just here to have a good time. And we just told people that. We're like, yeah, we're just here to have fun.
Yeah, enjoy it.
You know? And so,
do
like,
what you do.
that's what I like to do. Was I like to go to these events and just have fun with it when it's not something that's been
Task.
pre-planned and tasked.
See, I feel that mentality that you have with that would completely change our country if departments started absorbing that, allowed cops to be people, because we don't look at cops as people. Cops are cops, right? And that's, well, it's a fucking cop.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, dude, there's Officer Peterson, like, come do a barbecue and swing by, come out back, which I've seen. I have buddies that are in communities and it's like that, but it's very rare. But when it is, it's incredible because the community knows. And then even the guys that are iffy on fences, they know you're kind of down with the community, so they don't fuck with you. And you get I feel you would get way more respect that way than just coming in, swinging your badge around, acting like you're high. 100%.
You know, because everyone knows, like, when you show up to an event and it's like a planned thing, it's very like, hey, we're going to set up a booth, we're going to do this, we're going to have that. So when it's a natural thing, one, you have so much more fun. People are so much more relaxed. You know,
open.
Way more open. And so, you know, I went through training. I did all that. The field training was different because now I'm 21 years old going to domestic violence calls.
Okay, so what was your first day as a sworn-in police officer? Do you remember your first day?
Oh, yeah. So, like, it was in Guerneville, which is the armpit of Sonoma County.
Okay.
It's wet, soggy, cold. Everyone out there has got MRSA. Everyone's got poison oak. Just miserable, dude. It's horrible. I had never been there before work, and I'm like, this place sucks. Like, the map, you can look on the map and you see roads, but then you look up and it's a golf cart-sized path, and it is fucked up. Like, we're talking asphalt's gone, there's tree roots growing up, and it's like, that's a road.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the redwoods. It's everything's wet, cold, damp. The people are miserable. Homeless population is through the fucking roof.
Okay.
And everyone out there is dirty, just filthy. They have poison oak because they live in the woods. MRSA from just not being clean, drugs, everything, just open needles, just gross.
So this is your first
day.
Okay.
First day, I'm driving, and my FTO, super sarcastic, super funny, and has lived out there for his career. Like, that's where he works, right?
Okay.
So he knows everyone, knows everything, and he's very, very well known and very well respected.
Okay.
And so I tell him, I'm like, yeah, I've never been out here. He's like, the road. And the other thing, you look at your map, the computer on the thing, up is down, down is up, left is right, and right is left.
Okay.
So if you're not used to that, you're looking and it's all fucked up, especially in an area you don't know. And so we're driving out there, and it's a tiny little town right on the river, right on the Russian River. And so we're going out there and stuff like that. And he's talking to me. I was like, yeah, I've never been out here. I don't know this area. He's like, cool, we're going to drive around, get familiar with the area. We're driving through, and right out of the rip, we're turning left to go to the substation. We're in the middle of Main Street, and the town is like a block, right? And we're turning left. As we're turning left, there's a homeless dude walking across the intersection. And he rolls down his window. This day one, I don't know shit. I don't know anything. Day one, he rolls his windows down. He's like, Chino, go fucking kill yourself. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is a total joke. And the homeless guy is just waving, happy as can be. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And I'm like, okay, all right. And so
this wasn't in the academy.
No, this was not in the academy at all. And so I'm like, all right, this is wild. And so we get to the substation. And as a trainee, you get your own separate room away from everyone. That's just the way it is, right? The culture is, hey, you're new, you're not proven, you're not anything. You got your own report writing room, you're going to be over there.
Okay.
While deputies in here are going to do their thing.
Yeah.
And so, because you're not like one of the guys, you're not.
Yeah, you haven't earned your stripes yet. Yeah.
You haven't earned anything, which I'm totally good with. I love that. You know, you got to earn your way, you know? And so the first day, keep in mind, like the police internship taught me how to talk on the radio, taught me how to search someone, taught me how to handcuff someone, taught me how to run someone out for a record search. So like I could theoretically do a full traffic stop flawlessly. And I remember the first traffic stop, shit the bed, completely shit the bed. And I knew it. I knew how to talk on the radio. I knew what I was doing, but I just threw up into the mic. Like I just word vomit into the mic, completely butchered it. And I'm like, that's not like me at all. But the reality was, like, I stopped this guy. I had red and blue lights. I'm doing it for the first time. And I'm getting out and I look down, I'm wearing tan and green and there's a gun on my hip. And I'm like, whoa, the reality just sank in.
Okay.
And so I go up, I get the person's license, something I can do in training, no problem. And so I get the person's license, completely butcher that, wreck it. I'm like, holy shit, like I don't know how to do anything. I'm questioning everything. I'm like, what is going on, dude? And so it's really rough. My first day was super rough. The first person I ever searched, he told me himself, the suspect. I was so excited to search him, cuffed him up. He's on probation, search terms. Yeah, let's do it. Cuffed him up. I'm searching him. He stops me. The suspect stops me. And he's like, hey, bro, you might want to put gloves on. He's telling me that while I'm searching him. I'm like, why? And he like does this because he's got a bandana around his chin. He like does this. And he pulls his bandana down. He's got this huge hole in his chin, like right here. And it's MRSA. And he's like, hey, I got MRSA, man. You might want to glove up. I'm like, see you later. Uncuff him, throw him, like, just get out of here. And I immediately go drink a bottle of hand sanitizer. I'm dumping it all over my uniform.
No shit.
I was like, I'm never coming back to this place again. And so
this is just
day one.
Day one.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm out here for like 4 weeks. And I'm like,
like that's gonna be the longest
like,
4 weeks.
This is brutal. And so we go about training out there, and sure enough, like everyone I touched, poison oak, MRSA, uncapped needles, just disgusting. And one of the first experiences I ever dealt with someone that was like super high on meth was out there, and he's in his boxers and he's swimming in the mud, like on the side of a freeway, swimming in the mud, trying to get away from great white sharks. And he is swimming like he's in the Olympics in a puddle. And so we go cuff him up. He's just, hey, great whites are after me. They're right behind me, this and that. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is the first time I've seen someone super high on meth.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do the whole bounce him out. We
bounce him out?
We do like a bunch of tests to determine like if you're under the influence of an amphetamine. So like we look at your pupils, you know, like, hey, close your eyes, count to 30.
I mean, you can't just look at this dude laying in a puddle and be like,
I wish you could.
He's clearly on something.
Everyone says that, they're like, he's high as shit, right?
Yeah.
But paperwork reasons, legal reasons.
Okay.
We have a bunch of tests we can do. And half the time, like they're so spun out that you can get through a portion of the test, and then you just document like, hey, I can't do it due to him being super all over the place. But you bounce him out a little bit. So bounce him out is just, hey, count to 30 in your head. And it's like this. I'm done. Right. And then his pupils, they're going to be blown out.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't sit still, can't look at you, can't do anything. So we do that. I have a photo of it somewhere. Like I'm just sitting next to him on the side of the road. And I look like a child. I look like I shouldn't be there. And I'm sitting there, and I got this face, I got this look on my face. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this? And so we go about it, dude, and we go to jail. And I remember this is a couple weeks into it, and I'm searching this guy. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing it. I'm just slow because I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I run him. He's on probation, search terms. He's homeless, so he's got a backpack, bike, all this shit. And we're in downtown Guerneville, and I'm taking my time. I'm searching. I get a meth pipe. Cool. He's going to jail. I need the practice. We're going to write the report, look it into evidence, do all of that. Well, I find the meth pipe. I keep searching. My FTO gets bored. And he's like, you're taking too long. And he gets in the car, drives away, just drives to the station. And his partner, my partner, he's sitting there, and he's just sitting there. He's like, well, that's kind of fucked. And I'm like, I was like, I didn't say anything because what am I going to say?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he's like, here, load the guy up in my car. So I load the guy up in his car. He's like, all right, see you later. Drives off. I'm like, what the fuck?
They just leave you?
Yeah, they just leave me in downtown Guerneville. And so they're like, we'll see you at the station.
They made
So
you walk.
Yeah, I had to walk with this dude's bike all the way to the police department. Luckily, it's only like half a block, but I'm still walking through town pushing this dude's backpack and bike. So I get to the station. He's all sitting in there in the waiting room, cuffed up, and they're just typing. They're sitting in the report writing room. So I go about, do my business. We take him to jail, this and that. So that was like my first ever experience, was like out in this place that was just a shithole, and it was just dirty. I hated it. Didn't want to be there ever again. And then you go through phases where you go to different areas of the county, different shifts, so you get used to everything and get familiar with the whole county.
How big is the county?
Oh, square mile wise, I don't know how big it is, but it's large. I mean, it would probably be the equivalent of like Boise County.
Okay.
It's large.
Okay.
So you bounce around different shifts, different FTOs, field training officers.
Yep.
So you can get familiar with everything. And then one of them was out in Sonoma, which is where I grew up. So I go into this one.
So you're excited.
I'm excited, dude.
Okay.
I know the people. I know the deputies. I know the
streets,
area. Like this is my home, dude. Like I can get around. And so I get out there and I get paired with a field training officer. To this day, favorite deputy I've ever worked with, Hector Rodriguez. Absolutely love him. He's a good dude. And so he's my training officer. I tell him like, yeah, I was out in the river. I was out in Roanoke Park. You know, this is what I think I need to work on, blah, blah, blah. He's like, cool. And this deputy loved taking people to jail. Like, hey, we're going out. We're getting into the shit. We're going to get guns, drugs, stolen cars. We're going to go have fun.
Really?
Like, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
He likes to ride the gray. So, like, ride the gray means he knew everything about case law, right? And so he knew every case that came out that made a new law. And so he's like, this is what we can and can't do. And he knew it so well to the point where he's like, this is kind of a gray area, but we'll make it work to the case law. And it was amazing to learn from him because, dude, it was so fascinating. And
I feel like that's what makes a good cop, because you can walk that line.
Because you knew when you were completely in the right and in the wrong. Mm-hmm. If you have the knowledge and you were confident with like, I know I got this guy dead to rights, I can do X, Y, Z, and I'm okay. Dude, you go about it so much differently.
Really?
Like, if you're unsure, like, hey, I don't know if I can detain him. I don't know what I got, this and that. You're gonna question everything, second guess things. Because
then if you're wrong,
you're liable.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're held responsible for the court case because you illegally detained or arrested somebody.
Yep. And the whole case can get thrown out. Or
Which
you get
blows my mind that I feel for police officers like that should be one of the biggest priorities, is learning the laws inside and out, because you see these auditors, right? These Second Amendment auditors, and they chew these cops up. And I'm like, bro, just shut the fuck up. Like, what are you doing?
We have these ongoing trainings. Like, I don't think people understand that you're in school. Mm-hmm. As a cop, you're in school and you get trainings monthly, if not weekly. You got some sort of, hey, this is a new law that came out. You got to acknowledge it, read it. And it's just a constant learning environment, whether it be first aid all the way to new case law and everything in between. We're getting updated. At least in California, that's how it is.
Got it.
You know, and you really see like all these police videos online. It's always in the South. It's always somewhere far away, this and that.
Some rural area.
Yeah, and it's like you see that, and then I have an appreciation like, wow, California is really on top of it as far as like training.
Okay. And
we do things very differently here, where we're really on top of case law and what we can and can't do. Whereas other parts of the country, I don't think it's like that yet. Mm-mm. So in a lot of ways, California police officers are like the highest standard, just because of the trainings that we have and what we have available to us.
For sure.
Is what other states. Well,
and I would say the volume of just interactions of people you're dealing with is.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, you meet everyone under the sun. You meet famous people, you meet homeless people, you meet everything in between, you know? And that was something. So, yeah, but getting back to the, like, riding the gray and stuff like that, if you know case law and you know what you can and can't do, you're confident in a traffic stop or confident in a pedestrian stop, life is much easier for you because you know exactly what you can and can't do. And so this is what this deputy was good at, was like he knows exactly what he can and can't do. Mm-hmm. And you'd be shocked at the amount of times people will just give you consent.
Oh, yeah.
even when they got stuff in the car. Like, it's mind-blowing. They're like, yeah, go ahead and search the car. You pop the trunk, and there's meth. And you're like, what are you thinking? Like, there's a pound of meth right here. He's like,
all you had to do was say no.
Yeah, all you got to do is say no, you know? But it's like, if you talk to someone like a human being, you're cool, you're laid back, you'd be shocked.
Up a lot more.
Yeah. And so going with him, it was quite the experience because he knew everyone. He was like, this dude's on parole. That guy's got a warrant. This guy. And it was just like, stop, jail, sight. Like, it was so fast. So fast-paced. I loved it. I thrived. And I'll never forget it. This is where I, like, earned my stripes a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm so thankful. Like, I thanked him after this. So we got a call for this guy. He was being an asshole. He was sleeping in some random guy's truck bed in a McDonald's parking lot. And just being an ass, the guy's like, hey, I don't know who this is. Get him out of my truck. And so we go there. My FTO's like, yeah, his name is this. Birth date's this. He's on probation. So
he just knows these people.
He just knows everyone. It's wild.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, I pull him up, confirm his ID photo. He's drunk. He's a complete ass. And he's still laying in the truck. And I go up there, and I'm like, hey, man, you got to get out of the truck. And he's like, ah, fuck you. And he's drunk. He's like, ah, fuck you, this and that. I was like, dude, get out of the truck. No, fuck you. I'm like, cool. I grab him by his ankles, and I yank him straight out. I just yank him straight out of the truck bed.
100% would have been my only option.
We're done.
Yep.
And so as soon as we do that, the fight's on. This is the first time I've ever been in a fight, like on duty.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll never forget it. I'm wrestling the guy on the ground. Fight's going, this and that. I'm like, get your hands behind your back. Stop fighting me. And I'll never forget it. I caught out of the corner of my eye. My FTO is standing like right there next to me, just watching it happen. And my partner pulls up, and the partner starts running over to me, and he just puts his arm out. He's like, no, he's got to do this.
Really?
And I literally, and I caught it, and I was like, fuck yeah. Sick. So I handled my business. I cuffed him up, threw him back in the car. Fight was good. Everything's legit. Get in the car, close the door, turn the cameras off. I was like, thank you. That was cool. He's like, yeah, you got to
learn.
You got to know how to do it by yourself.
Yeah. You got to cut your teeth in,
things,
you know?
Yeah, it was so cool. I was like, I'd never forget it. He held him back, and I literally looked back. I'm like, yes. Yeah, I got this.
So when you're fighting somebody, I feel as a cop,
yeah,
is it scarier fighting somebody as a cop than like in a normal street fight? Because, I mean, you're kitted out, which isn't easy to fight somebody, and then they're not kitted out, so which makes life
if they're
even
drunk
harder.
Or high, they're just off the wall. Like nothing affects them.
Yeah.
I would say, it's harder because you got a bunch of shit that, like, one, your radio goes flying, your camera goes flying, so you got wires and shit going around. You try to tuck them in as best you can. But yeah, I mean, you don't move as well. You're worried about your gun. You know, you don't want someone getting your gun.
Well, and at the same time, like I've tried to explain it because I've done a lot of security and moving people without hurting people type of deal. It's very hard. And I explain this to people all the time, like detaining somebody or fighting somebody without trying to hurt them.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. And I feel that's every cop because you'll see videos, you know, I've seen cops they're street fighting. Yeah. But it's tough. I mean, did you notice that, or is it more of like a grappling? You weren't having really.
So like, we're not forcefully trying to hurt people.
Yeah, for sure.
But we are trying to distract them, and pain is a very good distraction. So like, if I punch you in the gut, you're going to be focused on like, I just lost my breath, right?
Got it.
So we focus on like, hey, I'm not going to punch you straight in the face unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jam my hand in your throat. You know, but you focus on areas that's going to be distraction. So, like, if I slap you in the face or if I hit you in the face like that, that's an immediate distraction.
Yeah.
Where I can focus on getting your hands behind.
So you're more open palm strikes.
Yeah, so you're doing stuff, open palm strikes. We're not doing, like, closed fists and just wailing on someone like that. Obviously, you got to do what you got to do in the fight. You know, you can use elbows. You can use that stuff. But it's more distractionary blows. And I think a lot of the times what happens is like when you're fighting, it's dynamic. It's not like someone's stationary.
For sure.
So like what happens is like when you're fighting and you're shooting for like, hey, I'm going to hit this guy across the cheek, right? Or something like that. And he's moving, he does this and goes straight in and you break his face. That it's like, it wasn't my intention, right? Yep. But that's what the end result was. Yeah. You know, and like I got a story that's exactly that. But so it's not directly to just cause pain and that's it. It's more distraction based, and then that is the goal to get someone into handcuffs, right? Is just to do that, you know. And there's control techniques that we can use, Are they effective? Sometimes, but
Joint manipulation, wrist manipulation, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, and that's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Depends on how high they are.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so you just try what you can, and some things work, sometimes they don't, you know. And so you just kind of have to flow with it, and that's part of any fight.
Was it a pretty big adrenaline rush after your first? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an adrenaline dump of a lifetime. Like I couldn't eat, and then probably like 2 hours later, I was like, I'm ready for bed. Like I'm exhausted, you know. And that's the other part of it too, is no one wins in a fight.
No.
So yeah, I got him. I cuffed him up, went to jail. My elbows are all scuffed up. My knees
raspberries
are
everywhere. Yep.
Shit. Dude,
yep.
So bad. But you know, no one ever wins in a fight. But that adrenaline dump is like through the fucking roof, and you don't. It's so easy to get that tunnel vision, and just focus in on like where his hands are, where his face is doing, and so to have that clarity to see what's around you is really hard sometimes because you want to focus on that person so bad.
Do they teach you in the academy, or has it just become more natural when you're detaining somebody and you're fighting somebody as a law enforcement officer? I mean, I feel you're just focused on hands. Like, are you watching and seeing if they're trying to grab?
Yeah,
is that a big fear? Like, if you're hand to hands with somebody?
Kill.
Yeah, okay.
Hands will kill. Eyes are another good thing. So eyes, feet positioning, where their feet are is where they're going to go. So like if you're sitting down and there's a suspect, you're sitting to him and his feet are kind of pointed to the door. They're like, he's going to go to that door. Like that's where he's instinctively wanting to go.
Okay.
You know, and if his eyes are just looking at you up and down, he's scouting you out. He's seeing where I can go.
He's sizing you.
Yeah. And so like, but the hands, it's a huge thing, you know, and wherever that hand goes, you have no idea where it's going to go and what it's going to produce. Right. Yep. And the amount of times where cops get caught off guard with things because they lose sight of that, you know, like deputy took off after someone, and while the guy was running, he just did this, and he didn't pay attention, didn't focus on it. Guy ditches a gun right there, like millisecond before he gets tackled by the deputy, but he didn't even see the gun, had no clue.
No shit.
You know, and it's like because you lose sight of that, but it's like it's so hard to keep in tune with the hands, what they're doing, especially if they're fighting, where those hands are going. Like, is his hand going for my gun or is it going for his gun? You have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so having control of those hands is like the first thing that you really want to do.
No shit.
Yeah. You know, hands are a huge thing. So, and that's what they teach you is just that stuff is, you know, you got to watch the hands, got to watch what they're doing, you know, how they're looking at you. Yep. Are they bouncing around? Is their knee shaking? Like subtle things like that will tell you so much.
And every time you're arresting somebody or every time you're having an interaction with somebody, you're picking and learning all these human behaviors.
Learning. Yeah. Okay. You know, and it's like before you know it, when you're talking to someone, you're like, hey, man, keep your hands out of your pocket. You know, can you just interlock your hands and put them in front?
Yeah.
Something simple like that. Yep. Like, just do something so that their hands are visible.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, but you're constantly learning, constantly saying things, and you learn from experiences, some good, some bad.
Yep.
You know, and so it's just the time under doing the job that happens that you learn that
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, going through training, that was my first fight. Graduated on my own. The first solo shift, my very first day solo. I was playing racquetball with my dad that morning, and I had grave shift that night. It was my first solo shift. No training officer, just me in the car, on my own shift with my own deputies, like that first day.
You're big boy now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And that morning, I was playing racquetball with my dad, and I got a racket to the face, split my eyebrow open. Split it wide open, 8 stitches, and I was just bleeding down the face. I was like, I don't know what to do. Do I call in? I can't call in on my first day. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up going to work, and I have briefing, and I got this big old goose egg with 8 stitches sticking out. Introduce myself, this and that. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so we're talking, we go through briefing, I introduce myself, meet the guys, and then we all go our separate ways. So you go out and you go to your patrol beats, your area, your zones. And I remember I got in the car and I was silent. There was no one there. And I'm just sitting there. And I sat in the back lot for an hour. I was like, I don't know what to do.
Really?
Yeah, no clue. Because I'm used to having an FTO. I was like, hey, we're going to go get coffee. Hey, we're going to go here first. Hey, we're going to do that. But I sat in the car in silence, like, what do I do? Right? Did
you eventually just like creep out of the parking lot like, I'm going to go this way?
I crept out. I'm like, well, fuck, all right. I know I'm going to go to the area that is in my zone that I know has drugs, that have bad people. And so then I just started making arrests on my own, found a lot of drugs, found a lot of stuff. I mean, it was like every person I talked to, I was taking you to jail. Like, I just wanted that experience. I was just like, jail. But I was a bad beat partner because what you need is like if there's 2 people in a beat, you guys split the calls for service or go to the calls together, handle it, and take care of each other.
Okay.
But I was so happy to be on my own and so focused and excited to do things that I kind of lost track of my partner, and I would just like take people to jail, and I'd come in at the end of the night with like 10 arrests, right? And I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's cool. And I'd sit down and write reports all night. Well, my partner was handling calls. And so it was a learning environment where I got my ass chewed out a couple times. They're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're not taking care of your partners, this and that.
Okay.
So there was a learning curve, and I was like, okay, I got to settle into my role. This is what I'm expected.
You can't just go trying to change the world all on your own.
No.
Okay.
And so there's times and places for that. You communicate with your buddies, you communicate with your partners and say, hey, man, like I'm going to go hit this place for a bit.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, cool, whatever. And then, or you say like, hey, I'm going to go do this, but if a call pops up, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
I'll come up. And so there was a learning curve for me to do that. And that's where I loved it. That's where I loved the job, because I was on my own. I got to do things my own way. I got to learn on my own, and I thrived. Like I loved it. I went to the events. I went to the Cinco de Mayo festival, brought everyone with me. They all probably hated it. And, but I was loving life. Like I was wearing the sombrero that was like 5 feet long. And, but I was loving it. I loved everything about the job. You know, I got transferred out to the city of Sonoma, became one of the traffic guys out there. And, I had people like thanking me, saying like, hey, thank you. You know, I'm glad it's you, Robbie. Like, I'm glad it's you and not some stranger that shows up to my house. Cause I go to houses and I know the people.
That's cool.
You know, I've arrested people that I've known that I went to church with. I got into a fight with a kid I went to church with.
Really?
Yeah. And like a full blown fight.
Really?
Yeah, I passed the bar and I just see him from behind and he's fighting the bouncer. And so I get out, totally like not called for service, proactive. I was just passing by, right time, right place. And so I grabbed this kid from behind and I just literally dump him, and the fight's on. We're cuffing him up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm fighting him by myself. And the whole bar comes out, of course, because they want to see that. And so I get him cuffed up, this and that, and I roll him over. I'm like, David, what the fuck? And he's like, Robbie? And I'm like, what are you doing? And so I end up throwing him in the car. I'm like, all right, dude, we got to figure this the fuck out. And so I go in, I talk to the bouncer. He was causing a bunch of issues, fighting the bouncer. And obviously he's fighting me. And I'm like, dude, my hands are tied. Like, if you hadn't fought me, you know, or any cop, regardless, like, you probably could have gotten out of here with a warning. But I was like, I got to take you to jail, dude. And so his brother was there, went to church with his brother. He's like, can't you just come with me? And I'm like, we're kind of past that.
Yeah.
You know? And so I was like, dude, I'm really sorry. Like, I got to do this. And so end up taking him to jail. And he was like, dude, there's no hard feelings, blah, 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 this and that. But it was just like, at the end of the night, he was like, I'm glad it was you.
Yep.
You know? And I've had parents where I played Little League with their kid get into fights. And I show up, and I'm like, this is weird. And
really?
Yeah. And it's like, this is an odd thing. And one of the biggest guys out there, biggest dealer, I grew up at his house playing baseball with his son. And he was at every Little League game, everything under the sun. But he was one of the biggest, not biggest, but he was like a pretty prominent dealer in the Valley. And I ended up arresting him, like, God, I don't know how many times. And he, to the point where like he'd message me on Facebook, like, hey, bro, I need your help. Can you call me? And I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I'm like, hey, man, how's Damien doing? Oh, he got in a little bit of trouble here. He's back up in Oregon hiding out. I'm like, wow, all right. So like father, like son. And, but I loved it because like 80-90% of the time people liked that it was me. They liked seeing a familiar face that they're like, hey, this is someone
for sure
from our
for
area,
sure,
you know? And so it was really nice to have that experience. But yeah, you know, as the years go by and stuff like that, I'm getting a little bit saltier. I notice like the people like, they're hating, you know, I get more comments, and I lost my identity out in Sonoma where it was like, hey, I'm Robbie. I grew up as Robbie out there. Everyone knew me as Robbie. It became Robbie the cop. And so I had a bunch of people call me and say, hey, dude, I need a favor. Hey, man, can you sign my ticket? Hey, dude, you know, I kind of lost my identity of Robbie, the people that everyone knew, and I became Robbie the cop. Okay. So like I became the call center for people if they needed help, advice, or they needed a favor. And then I also noticed that like if I went out on my days off, I wouldn't go to the bars, I wouldn't do that. But I noticed that on my days off, if I went out to the grocery store, this and that, I'd get looks, and I'd be like, hey, you're the cop, right? Hey, you're the cop. So like I kind of was starting to lose my identity of what I was out there. And then it was associated with the badge and uniform. And to the point where I was like, this place kind of sucks. Like, I'm not enjoying this as much. Like my hometown, it wasn't enjoyable because I lost who I was. And I didn't really think anything of it. And it was such a gradual thing that it wasn't happening overnight.
Yeah.
But it was happening to the point where I was like, whatever. I'm going to associate with my kind. I'm going to associate with deputies. We're going to party and drink on our Friday nights and do that and kind of isolate myself from the public.
Okay.
And, so I did my time in Sonoma.
How long did you do there?
I did 2 years there.
Okay.
2.5 years, somewhere like right around there.
Yep.
And then I moved back out to the West Sonoma County, which was rural wine country, a lot of meth, a lot of weed grows, a lot of rural areas with like people that don't want to be seen or heard of.
And just, definitely don't want to deal with a cop.
Yeah. And so, which was a great place. I loved it out there. Loved going to calls. I liked it a lot. We had our regulars. So
did you like that more?
Yeah.
Because you're able to make a different. You're not Robbie anymore, like from the town. Do you like that nobody knows you?
It was nice that nobody knew me.
Okay.
To an extent, like it was nice because I would often show up to calls and people knew me, and there was like, hey, we're done. Like, you got it. Whatever you say, dude. Sorry, this and that, because they knew me.
Got it.
Whereas like going out to some place where no one knew me and stuff like that, they just saw a deputy. They're like, yeah, get fucked.
Okay.
Like I had the respect from Sonoma where people knew me and they're like, yeah, all right, like if you're serious about it, then we'll do this differently. But West County, it was just, hey, cop. No personal connections behind it at all. But out there is where I kind of started to get really salty towards people, because people were hatred. Like people were very miserable.
Okay. So that started to wear on you?
Yeah, it started wearing on me, and I wouldn't really think anything of it, and like a big thing that cops do is they drink. It's kind of like the social norm to do is just drink. So if you get a bad call or something like that, you joke about it and you drink, or you get off work and you have drinks and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I got exposed to more and more calls where I'm like, wow, people are really fucked up.
Like what was some of the stuff that you're seeing now that you're like, okay, this is a different world?
Well, it was a different world was, we had one of the longest standing unsolved murders in the county. And it was called the Jenner homicides. It happened a long, long time ago, but it was basically this young couple, totally innocent in life. They decided to go sleep on the beach, which totally cool. You can go do that. So they pitched a tent, sleep on the beach, got randomly killed in the middle of the night, shot, boom, boom. And no rhyme or reason, no attachments, nothing, just unsolved, random couple. And it was an unsolved murder for 10 plus years, I think.
Really?
And I remember sitting in briefing, and it was first shift, not first shift, but first thing of the night, first call of the night. We're sitting in briefing. Mom calls 911, and we're all sitting there. There's 9 of us. And mom calls 911, hey, my sons are fighting in the house, and one's threatening to kill the other one, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, oh, shit, okay, this is cool. This is unfolding. And they're fighting, blah, blah, blah. Son's going to go get a gun and kill him. He just left the house, boom, boom. You just hear, the shots on the radio. Not on the radio, but, on the 911 call.
Yeah.
She's, starts screaming. And she's like, yeah, my son just shot my other son, and he just took off. He's in a black Toyota pickup, whatever it was, and this and that. And so we're like, whoa, this is fucking legit. So we all get in the cars, and it's just a sea of red and blue, and we're driving down the road going 100 miles an hour. And we're driving down this road. It's kind of in the country. It's in my zone. It's in my beat. And so I'm second in line in the cars. It's one dude, me, and then 5 or 6 others. And so this is a pretty legit thing. Car was seen going westbound to Guerneville, which is that shithole little place. So they informed the deputies out there, hey, look out for a black Toyota pickup. And I'm second on scene. So it's a house that's on a second story. So you got stairs, garages underneath. So you got stairs coming up the side of the house and then the front door. And so my partner and I are running up the stairs together, and the door's open, and my partner runs in. As I'm coming in, it freezes in the door frame for me, and I see my partner drag a body out and tear open his shirt. Mom's screaming hysterical in the kitchen, and there's no medical, nothing's on scene. It's just me and my partner. And I like freeze for like a split second. I'm like, wow, this is fucking crazy. And this is like the first unnatural dead body I've seen. Unnatural meaning like fell asleep, didn't wake up. And I'm like, holy shit, this is wild.
So you haven't dealt with a murder's body
like
yet?
No.
Okay.
So this is the first time. And so we go in, and the guy had taken around to the face, taken around to the chest.
Jeez.
And you would think that, like, the movies make it look so much more dramatic. Like, you get around to the face, it blows your face off. No, it just looks like he got the shit kicked out of you, right? His whole left side was swollen. Like, obviously, it looked bad, but it was just like, that's not what I would expect out of getting shot in the face and in close range. And so he tears his chest open. He's got a hole in his chest right here. And I move myself to the head, and we're going to swap off with CPR. And he starts doing CPR compressions, and I'll never forget it, dude. It looked like SpaghettiOs. Showed like every pump, every chest compression pumped SpaghettiOs out of this guy's chest, and it was like red SpaghettiOs coming out. And it just looked like that coming out. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that.
Really?
So it like really stuck with me. And so we're doing chest compressions, and every single time the shit's just coming out. And so medics get there, they do stint, like they put a stint in the leg, this and that. He's dead. He's gone. Meanwhile, they catch the suspect.
The brother.
How
old are these brothers?
They're probably like late 30s.
Oh,
early
okay.
40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's probably 40s. And so they catch him, bring him to detectives, this and that. I don't know how I end up getting roped into it, because I'm sitting on scene control for a while. And then I get transferred to the main office to go help the detectives, like, sit on him. So someone needs to be visibly watching him, the suspect, in, like, an interrogation room. And so I'm sitting there watching a TV monitor, and the dude's a creep. Like, he creeps you out, weird-looking guy.
Yeah.
And you can just tell, like, he's off, right? Well, fast forward, he goes to jail for this. He ends up telling the detectives down the road, he's like, I know this unsolved murder, like, I know where the gun is. And so they end up solving a murder because he's the one that did it. He's like, the bullet casings are going to be in a Coke can on the side of the road at this mile marker. The gun is going to be in this area of the creek at this mile marker. Sure as shit, they go out there, they find it, and it's all ballistic matched.
From 10 years prior.
10 plus years.
Everything was still there.
Everything's still there. And so they ended up solving that murder, but, like, that was the first time where I'd seen something, like, fucking hateful, you know?
Okay.
He had no rhyme or reason. It was just
him and his brother got in an argument.
Yeah, and
he killed his brother over him.
Fast. You know, I was like, that's wild.
Does that start to really open your eyes to how evil we are as just people, and you start seeing that? Was that your first, like, look into, like, why? Why?
Yeah, 100%. You know, I looked at that. I'm like, that. You know, like, I fought my brother. Like, I've wanted to throttle my brother. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill this.
Oh, my brother and I got in fist fights and put holes in walls, like, 1,000%. Fighting. Yeah,
but I've never gotten to the point where I was like, I'm gonna kill them.
He got to a point one time.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I had to run and hide. Yeah.
Like, I've cracked my brother's dome open, you know, but it was never to the point where I was like, I'm gonna purposely go get a gun and kill him, you know. And but yeah, it was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that, like, just kind of evil. And the way that he was nonchalant about it after the fact, I'm like, dude, there's a wire missing there. Like, something's gone.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time that I'd ever seen anything like that. It was just a trip to see that. And it didn't immediately affect me, but it sticks with me. Like, to this day, I can put myself in that doorway and see everything that happened.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you go about these things, but as soon as we leave that, we got to forget about it. You know, you just lock it away. You go about your shift. There's no decompressing. You know, you have, like, if you get into a shooting or something like that, you have, like, you know, you have a decompression thing and you talk about it, this and that. But, like, for stuff like that, there's nothing. You know, you just say, all right, man, I'm 10-8. I'm back on duty. Let's go.
See, this is where I feel there's two. I see two different versions of cops responding to, like, our videos, and feedback is some cops, I don't say a lot, but there's a good chunk of them that are like, it's not what you see. It's, you know, it's the admin that are the biggest stressors. But then there's a huge, another big chunk of the police community that's, hey, like, I had to go and deal with all this. I had to zip a kid up in a body bag. I had to help this old lady that fell and smashed her face. And then then you go straight back to work again. And some people claim that doesn't bother you, but
It does.
I feel I would argue that, because if you're here, you're doing chest compressions on a dude and he's got SpaghettiOs coming out of a hole in his chest, sunken chest wound, you're dealing with that. Then, hey, I'm 1080 or whatever your code is, back on the road again, and
yeah, and then you go do traffic stops like life's normal.
and then you pull somebody over that has an attitude with you, and you're
Fuck this guy. You have no idea what I just did.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I see. These guys are like, nothing I ever saw bothered me. I'm like, how?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, are you getting off work and are you drinking? Are you joking about it with your buddies late at night? Yeah. That's bothering you.
You're coping with it
that's
somehow.
How you're coping with it, you know? And it's like so many cops, like they see these things and they either just don't talk about it and then they just bury themselves in a bottle. Like, dude, like I would get off, Thursdays were my Friday, and the whole shift we would just go down to our union hall and just get shit-faced. Like, we would just drink. You know, we get off at 2 a.m. Sometimes we drink till 6 a.m., you know, and it's fun to do in the moment because there's no shame in it. There's nothing behind it, you know. Well, there's nothing behind it immediately, but deep down, it's
For sure.
this is our way of decompressing with what we saw, you know. And like so many cops think that that's such a normal thing to do, and it's just, you know, before you know it, you're divorced. Your kids don't like you. I can't tell you how many times I've seen divorces where it's like the wife wakes up and was like, I hate you. I hate everything that you've become. And the deputy's sitting there like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because you don't realize it.
Just years of chipping away at them.
Mm-hmm. And so it's like, and another thing that I saw is, this is wild. Like, this is a son and a father. It was like the mother and father went away on trip. They were gone for like a month and a half, had their son. He was probably 20s, 30s. They had him watch the house. Well, son overdoses in the car in the garage, and he had been there for like a month.
Oh,
and
God.
So like, I don't know if anyone's ever talked about it, but like when you die, you decompose, and like, so all of the stuff inside of you turns to gas and liquid. So like, theoretically, if you were to die standing up and stay standing, everything inside of you turns to liquid and gas and goes to the lowest point.
Yeah.
So your feet would swell up and turn dark purple. And so he died in the truck, like slumped over, and so his face had melted into the seat. He was clenching a little meth pipe, but his face had melted into the seat, and it was just dark purple and just liquid everywhere. It was filthy. It smelled horrendous. It was the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life, and like, it took my appetite away. I can't smell Vinex wipes, so like, we had these Vinex cleaning wipes.
Oh, like alcohol wipes? Okay.
And so we got like a big box of them, stick them in the door panel, but I held that to my nose. But now when I smell that,
Instant,
I'm back in that garage.
for sure.
But it wasn't the dead body that messed me up. The smell was horrible. The body was horrible. But what messed me up was the father. You know, he came home from a trip to his son dead. And the first question he's asking is like, when can I get his shit out of the apartment and rent it out again? That's all he asked. He's like, when can I get his stuff out of the apartment? Do I have to evict him? Can I do anything, or just can I get it out, clean it, and rent it out again?
This was the father?
Unfazed that he just came home from a trip to his son dead. Unfazed. Didn't care. I'm like, okay. Like, you can do whatever you want with the apartment, man. Like, your son's here, you know?
Your son's rotted into this car.
Who cares if he's a drug addict or whatever? There's a time
Still your
in his
son.
life that he was a little boy to you.
Yeah, that was your little boy. Yeah.
You know? And
It's sad to see, and I feel most people don't ever get to experience those types of situations where, I don't want to say it's hate or just lack of empathy or whatever, but when you're dealing with that, it's like, you know, you get in your car and you're like, bro, that dad, like,
didn't care.
like, I'm a son.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine my father looking at me and be like, when can I get a shit out of here? So
I don't even have kids, and if that was my son, I'd be destroyed. Like, regardless of the circumstances of his death.
If your kid's an addict or not, and he's been battling it for years, like,
there was a time you played catch with your son in the front yard.
for sure.
And that's what I would remember, you know? And it's just like, to see that and just be unfazed and not even care and just like, get him out of here, and when can I clear out his apartment, is just wild. I mean, like,
That's dude, that's where I have to give cops so much. I got to give cops so much credit, is because you're dealing with the worst of the worst. And I'm not even talking criminals, like something of that type of situation.
I'd rather deal with a criminal than that. 1,000%.
Watching, you got to help or
Yeah.
get this body out of a car, whatever it is. But and on top of it, I mean, like you're sitting here dealing with the dead body, then you're watching this father with just zero emotions over his son. It's, I mean, then you start. That little stuff I feel would start to chip and
Yeah,
chip and
just
chip and
slowly
chip.
chipping away, and then like you leave that, and then my FTO is like, all right, cool, let's go to lunch. And I'm like, I can't eat.
Yeah,
You know, like I don't, one, because the smell's horrible, but
it's
two,
on
it's
you
like,
when
yeah,
you're dealing with that shit. It's, you could.
yeah, and it's like you know, and it's just you immediately go 10-8, and you're going back to service. You're handling calls like no big deal, and you completely forget about it. But it slowly chips away, and it's like, you know, I see people kill themselves. I see people kill themselves, whether it's on purpose, overdose, whatever the reason, you know, and it's like, it's horrible to see that and then pretend it doesn't happen.
Like a hanging.
Yeah.
I feel like if I had like walk in a room and there's somebody hanging there, and you got to deal with it and get them down or at least check for pulse, you're looking at a body hanging from a ceiling or whatever it is. Like that's not a natural thing.
I was out in, it was like West rural Sonoma County, and the neighbor found his neighbor hanging in the tree, and like I pulled into the driveway, and it was like a left turn, hanging in the tree, and he was 8 feet long. He had been hanging for so long he just stretched out. Yeah. And so like I go up to the house, and I go inside the house, and he had mixed a bowl of cereal, but instead of cereal, it was every pill that he had in the house, and that's what he was eating. He was just eating that, and then he just went out and strung himself up in the tree, and he had stretched himself out to like 8 feet long, you know. And it's like it sticks with me because it's like, dude, what sticks with me the most is like I became empathetic to the point where people were killing themselves, and I was like, I get it.
Really?
Like I can understand, because I got to the point where like I started hating my job. I started hating the people I worked with. Not the people I worked with, but like I hated showing up to work, and I just hated people, because every time I would go to a call, it was like, fix my problem, and if I can't fix it, fuck you. And so I started getting this hatred for it to the point where like I would deal with, this is the worst part, like we had a lot of placement homes for kids, and these kids would just get shuffled all over the country, and it was just like they got dealt a bad hand. Just either they're like delinquents, orphans, you know, something's going on, but they would just get shuffled around these homes. Like some of them live in Florida, and they're in California in some bumfuck nowhere house, and they got to stay there and listen to some rules that an 18-year-old counselor is saying you got to follow. Mm-hmm. And these kids are killing themselves, and they want to kill
Really?
them. Yeah, like I remember I went to a call, and she's just banging her head against the wall so many times, and they weren't stopping her. They were just watching it happen. And they called us, and they're like, we can't intervene. And meanwhile, there's blood coming down the wall. And I'm like, you can fucking stop this. And so I go in, and I just grab her, and as soon as I grab her, she stops, you know? And it's like I got to the point where I'm like I feel for you. Like, you have a bad hand dealt. You've been shuffled around. You have a feeling of no one wants you. I understand that more than you think.
As a cop, can you just hold that child or no?
You can, but, you know, it's like when they're in that mindset, you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I guess
you know,
right.
Because it's like you have to protect yourself, protect other people.
That's
but
the
you
dad
also,
coming out at me, you know?
1,000%, you want to hold that person and be like, dude, let me take care of you.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, it's like, what, are they going to grab, you know, are they going to grab your knife that's in there and just stab? Mm-hmm. You know, so you got to think of the safety aspect, but you also got to be in a position where you can relate to them and talk to them in a way that's going to calm them down.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, as soon as I grabbed that girl and sat her down on the bed, I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I just can't do it anymore, you know? And after years of seeing these dead bodies and just seeing how much people are like, why the fuck are you here? You know, this is miserable. And then your partners talk shit. Like, your partners are miserable. Like, I fucking hate this guy. Why is he getting promoted? He's out for his own benefit. You know, this department, the admin's fucking stupid. They think that this and that, but it's not the reality of it. So everyone's kind of in that negative aspect. And you drink, and that's the normal thing to get it all out. And you just talk shit about everyone. And that's the coping mechanism for everything. It's just, let's drink and talk shit.
I hear the thin blue line doesn't exist. I hear a lot of cops say that.
I think the thin blue line has been really blown out of proportion. One, I think it's just like, I can't stand it. Just in the aspect of like, it's encompassed so many cops and like thin blue line, Blue Lives Matter, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it can kind of like, this is just my perspective of it.
For sure.
And I kind of take like a different approach because it's the same thing as like Black Lives Matter, which is a hot topic, right? And I'm going to say something that's some are going to disagree with. But By doing that, you're creating the segregation.
100%.
You're creating
100%.
the difference between people. So if we say thin blue, thin blue, blue lives matter, blah blah blah, like you're creating a segregation where we're something different than others.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, that's not how the case.
Everybody
just
matters.
because I chose this job and chose to put this uniform on doesn't make me different than you in any aspect. It just means like, hey, this is just my job. And the Black Lives Matter thing, the same thing. By doing that, you're creating that segregation for yourself.
For sure.
The same thing with the thin blue line. It's like you're creating the segregation where we're something different than you. We're something different. We're
just
something
because it
better.
represents something more positive.
Something better, And it's like, I think it came out as a good, positive thing, but I think it's just been blown up quite a bit, and everyone's kind of falling into it.
Well, the reason I asked that too is because like a lot of cops, they say, yeah, we're all boys and we all have each other's back.
No.
But the second anything happens or you're in trouble or internal affairs is questioning you, they say that you're on your own.
I mean, dude, that's 1,000%. It's like, yeah, you're in this brotherhood, dude. We got your back through and through. I'm your partner. You're my partner. I got you. Fuck, man. The second you leave, no one talks to you. No one talks to you. You realize that you're a number on a piece of paper real quick. And like, it's just like I've been out on injury. Even out on injury, like I had a very select few people that showed up. And when I retired and like when I went through the process of going out, man, I was just silent. Admin reaches out to you because they're required to. I'd get one phone call a month. Hey, you doing good? Yeah, I'm fine. Cool. That's it. It's because they're required to. But as soon as you're off the books, as soon as you're retired, you don't hear anything.
See, I don't want to say the military's any better because you don't hear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. But I mean, the brotherhood is definitely. I would feel that's. I mean, dude, I got boys right now. I call them. Hey, we got to bury a body, and they're fucking
Same.
here.
I got like, my brothers went from 250 strong sworn to maybe 3.
Yeah.
And
that's sad.
Dude, it's like, for me, when I retired too, it was a loss of identity.
Okay.
Because it was all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so like, ultimately what caused me to retire is, I was dealing with all this stuff. It was slowly chipping away. And then George Floyd happened. And I lived in an area that wasn't Oakland. It wasn't Portland. It wasn't, Atlanta. It wasn't something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But we still had our protests. And what really got me was, the morning of a shift, I was day shift working out in Sonoma. And there was a little girl, like not much older than you. And like just graduated high school, and great family, innocent family. And they came home and she was dead in bed, and she decided to party for grad night, and her boyfriend at the time gave her something, and it ended up killing her. And so her mom found her the next morning naked in bed, and we had to go in there. I mean, it was a beautiful home, just like this, beautiful family, beautiful home. And it was this little girl that had just graduated high school, so much potential. You saw all the posters on the wall of like the sports, doing everything, like saying congratulations, and mom's screaming. And her dad comes home, and the family's outside restraining him because he just wants to see his little girl.
And you got to deal with this.
And it's me and my partner, and we're dealing with it. We're like, this is fucking stupid. Like, why this person? Like, why do you have to make these dumb decisions in life? And it just causes this.
Because it's not just a little girl. I mean, it's I don't want to say personal, but I mean, you're seeing trophies and pictures and paintings, and
you can't help but make it personal.
Yeah.
And it's like, why this person? And so we deal with that in the morning, and it ended up being personal. Like it was a family. It was a friend of mine. It was their son's girlfriend, and they had just broken up, and she was dating this other guy. And the whole family was like, this guy's bad news. Please stop. Please stop. And ultimately, he gave her something that ended up killing her. And so it ended up being kind of personal for me in the aspect of like, I watched this kid grow up as like little boy, watch him grow up into high school, and then have his high school sweetheart just ripped away from him like that. So, and it fucked him up for a long time, And so I go from there, and then there's this like scheduled protest for George Floyd. And I'm the traffic guy, so I ensure that no one hits them because they're protesting in the middle of the road. And so I lead their protest, and I make sure that no cars are coming, and I'm just driving my patrol cars. They protest around me. And it was super calm, peaceful protest, whatever, and but what happened was, after the protest, the whole day, I go home. We have take-home cars. At the time, I lived just outside of the city of Sonoma, and the way that my house was set up was it was tucked behind another house. And so my driveway was a long, skinny driveway you could see a quarter of my house.
Okay.
And I would pull in to the left, and you couldn't see my patrol car. You couldn't see anything. And so that's what I did. I drove home, didn't think anything of it, parked my patrol car so where you couldn't see it, and went about my night, went to bed, decompressed, had a few, decompressed, this and that. And I wake up the next day, I go about my business, and I come outside, and there's signs all over my shit. Black Lives Matter, silence is violence, this and that. And it's just everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And so I go out, and I'm driving to work. I'm like, what's going on? I'm making calls, this and that. So I go out, my mailbox is dented in, signs all over that. It turns into like a bomb threat. They're like, don't open your mailbox. And I'm like, well, I've already opened it. And so I pull a print from one of the pieces of tape and this and that. And it turns out to be like a 75% match, whatever, to some dude in Oakland. So it wasn't some Sonoma wine country person playing a prank.
Not.
It was some dude from Oakland, right? And so I tell the department, I'm like, what the fuck? And they were like, yeah, here's a security system. They bought that. Cool. Great.
Okay. That's cool at least.
And then the neighbor's camera captured a car pulling into my driveway up to my house at like 2 a.m, stopping, doing it all, and taking off. And, everyone's thing is like, I wish someone would show up to my house, blah, blah, blah. Like, I got a gun for them. Cool, man. That's fine. But when the reality of that actually happens, it's so much more personal. It's so much more sensitive to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
When someone truly hates what you do for work enough to find you and follow you home and mess with you, it becomes a really personal thing really quick.
And you're just,
dude, I'm just existing.
Yeah, you're just doing something that you thought you were going to love your whole entire life.
This is everything I ever want.
And want to give back to your community, and now you're hated just for...
I'm slowly hating it. I'm slowly seeing, like, dude, people either want a favor from me. I'm Robbie the cop. I'm seeing all these dead bodies. I'm seeing hatred from people that I've never seen before. There's no way for me to decompress from this. I just got to put it away, drink with my boys, talk shit, this and that, and then to have someone personally come after me and say, like, we fucking hate you. And just because I chose a job, because my uniform isn't TSA, because my uniform isn't a Staples uniform, a Safeway uniform. It just happens to be a cop's uniform. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason. And I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, you have no idea who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started getting really angry. And that's where I isolated. I wouldn't leave my house. I started drinking. A lot more. Like, I'd get off shift, and on my way home, I'd crush 6-7 beers. Like, driving, just crushing beers.
Really?
And I didn't think anything of it,
Just became the norm?
It became the normal. And, like, I'd get off work with my buddies on a Friday, Thursday night, 2 a.m., drink until 6 a.m., fucking cruise on home, go to bed, go to shift the next day.
Really?
Same thing.
And that became the norm.
That was normal. Like, a normal night for me was 8, 10 Coors Lights, a couple shots of tequila.
You're getting up doing it again the next day?
Every day. I'd get off work on my Friday, take my personal car home, and I'd stop at the gas station, pick up a case of beer, and as I'm driving home, I'm just drinking. And then that's the only way I would be able to go to bed.
Really?
So, like, I would drink myself into the point where I was like, yeah, all right, I'm tired, I'm going to go to bed. It would pass out for a couple hours, wide awake.
How long did this go on for?
Dude, it went on for months. So this is kind of where I was like, it went on for months. I noticed I was really starting to hate my job. I was starting to hate people around me. And it got to the point where I was, like, becoming unsafe for everyone. So, like, I stopped wearing my vest. I would just wear my uniform, no vest underneath.
Really?
Fuck it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And I'd put myself in situations like, hey, if this is where I get hurt, I'm going to get hurt. Because it was easier for me to say that than say, like, hey, something mentally is going on with me.
Were you realizing this, or were you still?
Well, I had a moment, and I was working in Sonoma, and I had a moment where I had been dealing with this idiot all day. He was homeless. He wasn't from the area. And it was like a week straight of dealing with this dude every fucking day. He was stealing something, causing issues. Like, we have a bike store in downtown Sonoma, and they would put all their bikes out in front for sale, right? And he'd just go over and knock them all over. Like, just a jackass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has no family, no ties to Sonoma. He's like, this is a good place for me to settle down. I hated it. And at the time, he was living in an old warehouse that used to be a car dealership. And he had made it his own little place with all of his stolen shit from everyone in the valley. And one day, sure enough, someone calls in, hey, this dude stole my bike. I have camera footage. Cool, mail it to me. Emails it. Sure enough, I see the guy. Cool. I'm like, I know exactly who this is. So I go, I find him sitting in the park drinking. And I'm like, I arrest him. I don't have proof. Like, I don't have the bike. He doesn't have the bike. It's just camera footage. So I just hook him up. I bring him back to the station. I'm like, hey, man, where's the bike? I got to show him the video. Where's the bike? He's like, oh, I got it. I can bring it back. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool, go get it. And so I let him go. And I have a ticket. I give him the ticket. And I say, I'm going to hold on to this ticket. If you bring the bike back, it'll go away. And so and it was a fake ticket because I had nothing on him. And so he's like, all right, cool, I'm going to go get it. And so an idiot, like, he starts walking, and I wait 10 minutes, get in my car, and I just follow him. Like, he's walking through the park, and I'm just cruising behind him. He doesn't see me, nothing. So I follow him. And I follow him all the way to this old abandoned car dealership. And so finally I wait till he goes inside, park my patrol car, walk in the same way he does. And sure enough, I go inside. There's a stolen Bluetooth speaker that I took a report of the day before. There's a stolen bike. There's another stolen item that I had to deal with. And it was all the shit just piled up right there. And he made this like little center collage thing.
Like a shrine of all this stolen shit.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was pissed. I was so pissed off. I spent the whole week dealing with him. And I was also dealing with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And I like walk around, and he's shitting in a toilet that doesn't work. He's sleeping in one section. He's got all this stolen stuff. So I take the speaker, take the bike, take everything. And I remember sitting there, and he's trying to talk to me, and I just fade out. I turn my camera off. And I sat there for a second, and I remember thinking this. I was like, I'm going to fucking put this guy on the ground. Not from the area, no family, no ties here, no one knows him. I'm going to fuck this dude up. Nothing you can do about it.
Did you?
No. I literally told him, I was like, get away from me right now. Walk away. And I told, in this building, I'm like, walk away from me right now. Get away from me. I didn't want him to say another word. I didn't want him to do anything because I was right there.
Yeah.
And I said, get the fuck away from me right now. Shut the fuck up. Walk out. And he was like a little puppy dog. And he was like, I'm sorry. And I started walking away, and he was following me, like almost like a little kid tugging on the shirt. And he's like, I'm sorry. It won't happen again, this and that. And I turned around. I was like, get on the next bus and get the fuck out of this town. And I'm serious about that. If I see you again, I'm going to fuck you up. And he's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, shut the fuck up and get out of here. And he's like, yes, sir. And he ran out, never saw him again. And I got the stuff, I returned it. But it was in that moment, I was like, I'm going to put him in the ground. No, nothing's going to happen. I can do it.
Yeah.
And it was that moment where I was like, okay, it's bad. Like, I got to talk to someone. And I didn't tell anyone. I've never said anything about that to anyone. But I knew I needed help. I was like, something's gone. And so we have like an employee assistance pipeline, which is like a phone number to call. And it was basically like, hey, I need to talk to a counselor or a therapist or something. And I wasn't on ledge, but I was fucking close. Like, I was like, I'm going to snap. And I called him.
You're struggling at this point. Obviously, it's affecting work.
I'm angry. I'm not sleeping. I'm drinking.
What's it doing to your health? Are you gaining weight, losing weight, or?
I'm 280 pounds, just fat. Yeah, I was gaining weight. I didn't care. I didn't care about myself. The only consistent thing was like I wouldn't drink unless I had worked out. So like I would work out in the morning and then start drinking.
Which does have absolutely nothing.
That doesn't matter. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to drink unless I work out.
So that's how you justified it.
Mm-hmm. So I'd work out, be like, cool, now I can drink. And then I would drink for the sole purpose of getting me asleep.
So all of this is just piling and piling and piling.
Mm-hmm.
You almost put this dude in the dirt.
Yeah, I'm like, this guy's getting.
And that's when it registered, like, hey, I am. This isn't for me.
Yeah, and so I called this line that's supposed to help me. And I was like, hey, listen, like, I'm not on a ledge, but, like, I need to get some things off my chest. Like, I need to talk to someone. And they're like, okay, we can set you up with a therapist, like this and that. They'll call you in a week. I'm like, that's fine. Cool.
In a week?
Yeah. Like, and I told him, I said, that's fine. I can wait. Like, that's cool. And I needed something. Like, I needed a timeline or something, right? I just needed something to focus on.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yep, that's fine. Cool. Appreciate it. So a week goes by. They call me, and this is how the conversation goes. They're like, hey, is this Robert Woodworth? I'm like, yes, it is. Do you still want to talk to a therapist? Yeah. Cool. We have a bad connection. We'll call you right back. Click. I'm like, whatever. That's fine. 30 seconds go by. They call me. Hey, is this Robert Woodworth? Like, they had forgotten they had even called me. And they're like, hey, is this Robert Woodworth? Yes, it is. Hey, do you still want to talk to a therapist? Yeah. Cool. We have a bad connection. Click. It's been 3 years, 4 years. That was it.
So you're struggling. You reach out for help, which most people don't.
Mm-hmm. To
a hotline.
This is their sole job.
This is their designated job, is to help law enforcement officers while you're struggling to talk to somebody, and you never got contact. They never followed through.
And so that's when I was
that
like,
was 3 years. You said
years ago, 3, 4 years ago. And so now I'm sitting there in the patrol car, and I'm on duty, and I'm sitting in the patrol car like, well, fuck, like, that's the one place I am comfortable going. Like, I don't know what to do. And
you can't go to your admin over this.
No, like, what am I supposed to say? Like, hey, I'm just put this dude in the ground, like, fucking, I'm snapping. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's that. So I go about my day. I go about my shifts. I get transferred to West County, and I'm working out there. I stop wearing my vest. I drink every day. Willowside and Guerneville Road, intersection in the middle of nowhere. It's a straight shot. People race down it all the time. I stood in the middle of that intersection at midnight. 3 shifts out of my 4.
Why?
Just to see if someone would come.
And help?
No, just to see if they'd race. It was easier to get hit by a car than say, hey, I need help. It was easier to me to say, I'm going to get hurt on the job and go out like that
than it was to reach out.
And say, like, mentally I'm not doing well. And so
Really?
I would stand in intersections in the middle of the night.
Hoping you'd get hit?
Hopefully that some car, drunk driver, something would just come by and just take me out. And there would be no questions asked.
Really? Got that deep?
Yeah. And I would put myself in situations like that almost every night where I was like, oh, fuck it, dude. If this is it, this is it. You know, like, I'd park and I'd pull someone over, and I'd park right in the middle of the lane, swing my door open. Instead of doing a passenger approach on the breakdown lane, I'd just passenger approach on the lane, driver's side.
So you're just throwing.
I was like, fuck it. If it happens, it happens.
That's scary.
And it got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm going to go. Like, I broke down on shift, and I went to my buddy's house. He was in my beat, and I went to my buddy's house. He had just retired for PTSD. And I went to his house, and I'm like, dude, I need help. Like, this is what's going on. He had kind of known that I was struggling a little bit, but I showed up to his house, and I broke down. I was crying on duty. Like, I just broke down. I said, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I've tried calling. No one's answering. This is what I do. Like, I stand in the middle of intersections. Like, I put myself in situations where I'm going to get fucking hurt just because I want to. Yeah. It's easier. And I don't know who I can go to in the department, because it's like, all we do is shit talk. I'm like, you can't trust this guy. You can't trust that. You know, you can't trust admin because they're out for their own objectives and this and that. And so I was like, I can't trust anyone in the department. And so I went to someone that I trusted. He was a partner of mine who, to this day, if I called him and said, hey man, we gotta bury this body. Yeah. He would be like, all right, let's go. You know, I got the tractor loaded up. And, so I went to his house, and I had a full fucking breakdown right there. And I was like, I don't know who to call or what to do. And he put me in touch with someone, and it was his attorney at the time. And she was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And she called the sheriff's office, and I didn't know it, but that was my last day in the uniform.
Really?
Yeah. So I went.
Did you want it to be your last day, or no?
No. So
how did this go down? Like, they let you go?
No, so I basically called in sick. So like the next day was my Friday or whatever.
Okay.
And it was just basically, hey, he's going to be out sick. And I had sick time accrued. And she called in the sheriff's office and said, hey, he's sick. He's going to be out for a while. And she put in a workers' comp claim for me. And I never went back to work. And I started seeing a therapist immediately. And it was every day.
Did that help?
At first, no.
Okay.
Because I was so hell-bent on, like, I'm fine.
Yep.
And, like, this is fine. Like, I can beat it. I'll take a week off and be fine. And like 6-7 months into it, it became the reality of like, hey, I'm not going back. There's a possibility I'm not going back.
Okay.
And probably the hardest part was accepting that, and accepting that everything I worked for, everything I wanted when I was a little kid, watching my dad pin my badge on me and like watching him get emotional over it, I felt like I failed, and I felt like I wasn't worth it. And so to me, that was really struggling. That was really, really hard to accept. That like I had worked so hard for this and wanted it so bad that I wasn't in control of it when it got taken away from me, you know? And it's like, for me to lose that identity was like horrible. And it took me a long time to register and even talk about it, to the point where we're here now. And, dude, I struggled with it. I drank every day when I stopped working. Every day. It was mimosas in the morning, but it was a fucking Coors Light and orange juice. And I would drink that every day. And I would just drink and drink and drink. And I blew myself up. I'd have pizza every day. I didn't give a shit. Like, I just gave up. I gave up on life. I was like, I have no purpose. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. And all I wanted to do was just get away. I wanted to sleep. I didn't sleep. I had nightmares. I wouldn't sleep. I bought pills from fucking someone that said, hey, this is supposed to help you sleep. And it was the most vivid dream of my life. And I was like, thank God it wasn't a nightmare. And, yeah, I mean, it was just a horrible experience. I mean,
during that transition time, after you went to your buddies and broke down to them and
yeah.
telling them your situation, what did your department do to help during that time? I mean, obviously you're struggling. You know, you're bad enough that you're standing in street intersections in the middle of the night hoping street racers would hit you. That, like, that's the point you're at.
Yeah.
What did your department do to help support you or get you help or anything along those lines?
Nothing. Like, as soon as I went out, I was out.
Really?
So, yeah, it became that, you know, oh, he's gone. He's on workers' comp.
Not their problem?
Not their problem. And so I'd get those monthly check-ins. Hey, how's it going? Good. Cool. Is there anything you like we can do for you? I'm like, nope. That was it. The conversation was once a month, 5-minute phone call, if that.
Really? I don't understand how this is normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have a lot of people that left with PTSD, left with injuries, like legitimate injuries. Like, not that mine's not legitimate, but like people with blown out shoulders, blown out backs, this and that. And same thing. There's no help. There's nothing. Workers' comp fights you. I went without pay for 6 months, buried myself financially, just to pay my bills. Yeah, they didn't approve it. I had to prove the workers' comp was work related. I had to go through psych evals. I had to go through, like, dude, I mean, I just got my settlement. Not that, like, this is important, but like, I just got my settlement to finalize everything. I got that less than a month ago. And it's been,
oh, really?
I've been retired for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And it just hit.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, like, why do they fight it so bad?
I don't know. I think it's, you know, it comes down to like the money part of it, I think. Like, that's my guess, you know, but I don't know why they fight it so bad, but they fight everything. And like the mental health part of it is, they try to blame it on other aspects of life.
Absolutely.
So like, they try to put it on something so that they're not responsible.
100%.
You know, but when I tell them, you know, hey, here's the deal. Like, I can smell, like, I can't smell ham because it smells like a burnt body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't have Vinex wipes because it reminds me of a decomped body. I can't talk about things because it brings me back to that moment. Like I'm sweating right now just talking about this. Like it's an uncomfortable thing for me to talk about. Like I get weekly nightmares that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I don't sleep. I rely on sleep stuff. And it's like I've been progressing through the years, but I still have underlying things where like I get weekly nightmares and I don't sleep. If I don't take anything for sleep, I'm not sleeping. So
which that wears on you.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't function.
Yeah, for the first year I was off, I didn't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I would sleep an hour, and it would just be like sleep an hour here, be up for 8 hours, sleep an hour there, and it was just that. It was just like sleep when I could.
Naps here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Damn, dude.
And it was
this
just
blows my mind that like I have such a hard time just wrapping my head around what the law enforcement community has to deal with on the day in and day out, and then there's nothing like that's just
no.
Once you started that transition out, I mean, what was life for you like that? Because I mean, from your childhood to that point, I mean, all you ever wanted to be was a cop.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like? Was that pretty rough at that point, or were you ready?
No, I think I brought it up, but like I was convinced I wasn't retiring. I was convinced I wasn't going back, and so my mindset was like, okay, I just need time off. And so my therapist, we met for a while there. We met every day.
Really?
Yeah, and it was bad because like, once I transitioned out, I had nothing. Like I wasn't allowed to work because workers' comp was going on. I wasn't wanting to work. I isolated myself in the house. Like I would take different routes. So basically what ended up happening was I wouldn't sleep. I would hold myself up in the expectations of people were coming back. Because when they came to my house that first time, it wasn't, oh, they found me, they're going to leave me alone. It was, we found them, now we're going to come back at a later time and kill them.
So that's weighing on you.
So they had marked my house. They said, this is where a cop lives. We're going to go fucking kill this cop. And so it was paranoia of them coming back and finishing what they had started.
Sure.
And so every night I was up ready for them. And so I would take different routes home. I'd stay up all night. I would drink. I would do this. I would sleep when I could. So an hour here, hour there. But I was ready. I was ready for someone. And like I'd get nightmares, wake up, and I'm grabbing my gun out of the dresser.
Really?
And I'd get the same 2 nightmares back and forth, and I still get them, where one of them is, like, I have 2 cats. Like, I'm a cat guy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is I'm away from my house. They show up, and they kill my cats, and they're swinging from the fan as I come home. And so that was like, I can't leave my house. I can't leave my house. They're going to come when I'm not here, and they're going to kill my animals. They're going to kill my pets, destroy my house. Or the other one was I was in my house, and they would corner me in all 4 corners of my house. They would corner me, and no matter how many times I killed them, there would be more that show up. And so I'd had these 2 nightmares that was pretty much every night.
Yeah.
And so it would just stop me from sleeping because I was ready for them to come back. I knew every license plate in my neighborhood. I knew if there was a new car in the neighborhood. I became obsessed with my cameras. I became obsessed with everything in my neighborhood.
So now it's just eating at you.
Yeah, and so I became obsessed with it. I hated people. Like, I wouldn't go out. I'd DoorDash everything. The one consistent thing was I'd lift weights. So, like, I would go to the gym in the morning, take a different route home, pick up things if I needed things, a.k.a. if I needed beer. If I needed tequila, I would pick that up and then go home.
How long did this last? How long?
Months. I mean, I did this for probably a good year. Actually, probably closer to a year.
Really?
Probably a good year. And I blew up. I got really fat, overweight, didn't care. And I didn't see it myself. My family, I hid it from my family. They knew I drank, but they didn't know the extent of it. Mm-hmm. If it was nice out, I literally would fill my truck bed I'd put a tarp in it, fill it with water, sit in there, and just have seltzers, beers, everything floating there. And I would sit in that thing until I couldn't get out. And all I would do was just sit there and drink.
Really?
So
and nobody's coming to check on you? Nobody from the department thinks they should swing by and...
No. Maybe for like the first week or 2, they'd be like, "Hey, everything good?" I've had a few people check in on me randomly.
Okay.
They're like, "Hey, can we swing by and say hi?" But that stopped. Like it was maybe once a month, once every other month, and it was always 1 or 2 guys, ones that I liked, ones that I would still consider like, "Hey, if I saw him today, friends." but that stopped. That went away. So, but no one from admin, no one of any importance would show up.
That's so unfortunate, man, that they put you guys out there like that.
Yeah.
And then just, that's it.
Yeah. And
thanks for your service.
Yeah. And so, it's just a lot of sitting at home, doing nothing except drinking and thinking with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I was so desperate for just peace, quiet in my mind. Dude, I'd go for drives, and the middle of the night I'd go for drives and be like, I'm not coming home. Like,
really?
I'd write my note, take off in the middle of the night, and be like, this is it.
Really?
Drove out to the coast because we were 45 minutes from the coast. I'd sit out there, cry, and just be like, this is it. I'm not coming home. And I would drive and drive and drive. So that was like the one thing where it was bad. It was really bad, was because I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't Robbie anymore. Anywhere I went, I was Robbie the cop.
Mm-hmm.
I was still associated with this uniform. It was still everything in me, and it was everything I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like a big part of it was going back to my dad. It was like I didn't know how to tell him.
Yeah.
That I couldn't do something he was so proud of. And like that ate me away. And my parents, I hid it from my parents. I didn't talk to them about it. And they knew I was hurt. Like they knew I was like mentally not okay, but they didn't know the extent of it. They didn't know I wrote a letter to them. They don't know I wrote everything to be in my brother's name. Like I put everything together so that at any time if I wanted to, I would be gone. And
you're by yourself through all this?
No. I had a girl that I was dating then, and she took an absolute beating from me.
For sure.
And I actually just, like, I wanted to make sure it was okay to talk about with her. She's okay with it, but during this entire time, like, she was there for me. She produced every single day, and she was there. She was an absolute foundation. She took an absolute fucking beating.
Yeah.
She watched me drink myself. She watched me be angry. She watched me be an asshole, say things I didn't mean. And every day she chose to show up. She took care of me. She watched me get sloppy drunk. She didn't care. She loved me for who I was and knew I wasn't that. And I think the relationship didn't work out. It wouldn't have worked out in any way. But I got to the point where I was just not good. And I ended up ending the relationship, and I think it was the best thing for her. But I feel embarrassed and I'm like completely ashamed of who I was, because that's not someone that she met,
Absolutely.
But she was an absolute rock, and she was there every single day, and she chose to love me through every part of it. And I praise her now, and I think that she is an absolute angel. And there's probably some things that she doesn't know about, like, late driving around by myself. She probably assumed other things. But there were nights where I just was gone. There were nights where I was just, I'm not coming back. And the biggest thing was like the disappointment with myself and my family. I couldn't face that. And like, I couldn't talk about it. I wouldn't tell people. I would just say, yeah, I'm off. I got hurt. And I would blame it on something. Like, I got hurt on a dirt bike at work, which is true. So I had that to back it up. And so that's what I would tell people. I wasn't ready to admit the fact that I was hurt. Me as a human being mentally, I was not there.
So do you feel in that state, in your mindset, it was easier to take your life than it was just to reach out to your parents and let them know how bad you were struggling?
1,000%. It was way easier. It was way easier to disappear and not be someone's problem.
So you thought?
So I thought, and like, I think that's where, like, I started connecting with people that I worked with, like people that I dealt with.
Yeah.
Because I dealt with a lot of suicides, a lot of suicide attempts. And I got to the point at the end where I'm like, dude, I know how you're feeling, man. Like, I wouldn't tell them that, but like internally I'd be sitting there like, fuck, dude, I'm right there with you. That is
so sad.
And it got to a point where it was like, fuck, man, like, I'm a burden. Like, no one cares about me. The one place I'm supposed to call, they didn't call me back. They don't care. No one's answering my door. Like, no one's coming over. No one's checking in on me. I have a girlfriend here I don't appreciate, and she she's still sticking with me through everything. And part of the reason I'm still alive is because she's there, because she was there. If I didn't have anyone and was by myself, then no, absolutely not. You know, I had one buddy that I would call and I'm like, dude, I'm not doing well. And he'd be like, let's go get a beer. But that was an immediate thing. It was like, let's go get a beer. And then I'd go crush beers with him, drive home, continue drinking myself until I passed out. And like, I still got photos now where it's just like Coors Light cans lined up, this and that. And like, this is my dinner. It was like a box of pasta and fucking 12 Coors Lights. And, yeah, I mean, I wasn't doing well. And, you know, I thought no one cared.
Yeah.
I thought no one cared about me because, one, who cares about the mental part of it? No one, you know, you're fine. Just tough it out.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it's, you're a cop. You're fine. You know, you're supposed to be okay. And it just, like, it wasn't part of the plan for me. I was expecting to do 33 years there and be successful and have a career, and to have it taken away and it was out of my control. When that's where it was like, dude, I hope I get hit by a car. I hope I get shot, stabbed. I hope I want something like that. So it's an easy, no questions asked, when the underlying reason is like, dude, I can't hang with it.
Yeah.
And for me, it was so much easier to have something happen to me because I didn't want to admit that I'm at fault, that I have got something going on. And so,
when did it get to the point? You know, you're struggling for a solid year, contemplating God knows what. Where did it like hit you where you realize that you got the death wobbles and you're just going 100 miles an hour down the highway and you're about to just be peeled all over the asphalt?
dude, I think it was I mean, there's a couple moments. I mean, it was kind of like when I shut my camera off and I was ready to just put that dude in the ground. That was like a moment where I'm like, something's wrong. You know, I stood in this intersection for an hour and I'm like, dude, something's off with me. Like, something's going on. And then breaking down to my buddy was kind of like the final, hey, this isn't right.
Yeah.
You know? And then staying up, drinking, all of that. It was just kind of like it accumulated, but I saw these major check marks of like, hey, you're going to snap. You don't care about yourself. You're fucking breaking down at work. Something's going on here and you got to address it, you know? And then going through the therapy and doing that and just trying everything under the sun, it was like, nothing's working. But talking it out through therapy and understanding that it's okay. Dude, it took like a year. I wasn't even like, he didn't want me driving down the street that the department was on. He's like, avoid that street.
Really?
Don't look at it. Don't go to the department. Don't put the uniform on. Don't look at your uniform, because it broke me down.
I mean, you've had time to reflect and obviously you've talked to a therapist a lot. Is there anything looking back now that you wish or you could have done differently to have a different outcome with your career? Or, I mean, you're dealing with the shit every day.
I think that it's not something I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be better with overall departments, community.
Okay.
And within the department, the deputies, police officers, I think there should be a better way to address these things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that I'm not the first person that called the helpline and nothing came out of it.
That's mind-blowing.
And I think that having a better understanding and more of an acceptance with it, because, you know, mental health is like, ooh, taboo, something's wrong with him. You know, he's fucking not trustworthy. Mm-hmm. That's what it falls down to. Mm-hmm. Is if you have something mentally wrong with you, like, you can't trust him.
Yep, they're unstable.
When it's like, dude, in reality, like, whatever you tell me dies with me, mm-hmm. right? And so it's like, hey, we got to tiptoe around this guy, this and that. The department doesn't want to do anything that's going to offend you or do this or, like, upset you. When in reality, I think that there needs to be some sort of accountability, whether it be like, hey, dude, there's monthly meetings going on at the department. It's all in-house. You guys all talk and get it all out there. You know, the only time that ever happens when there's a critical incident or something really severe. And half the time, deputies don't show up. It's not mandatory. Like, I'm not saying it should be mandatory, but it should be more frequent and more public so that it's more normalized.
Okay.
Rather than like, hey, it's only for specific incidences. That's when we're going to pull this out and have meetings and a group therapy thing.
Not wait for the incident to
Not
be
wait
able
for
to
it.
address it.
But even if it's something simple, like, dude, you had a hanging, man, you had to hold the body while someone cuts them down. Like, let's talk about that.
That's the shit civilians don't think. You know, we want to sit here and, cops this and that. And I mean, we get the ignorance that comes from just the civilians here in the United States toward police. It is mind-boggling. I mean, the only people that can get away with murdering people, and it's just so ignorant to me. And I get it. It's like anything. There's good and there's bad, right? You got your 10% of shit, and the rest are probably good or whatever. And so, but what I feel where we really lack as a civilization, or I guess a society, where we lack as a society would be we don't show the true day in and day out of law enforcement officers. I mean, you just saying you got to hold a body while somebody else cuts it down, not even knowing how long this guy's been hanging in a tree or in a house. And
yeah, and it's like that's like another part of it is like there's so many small aspects. Just touching on it, it's like as a deputy, we're a deputy coroner, and so every death investigation, we have to manipulate that body, make sure there's no stab wounds in your back, make
you're
sure that
bending
so
bodies.
I'm moving bodies.
And rigor mortis sets fairly quick.
Yeah, and so like any kind of death, if it's suspicious or anything like that, like we like, hey, there's an obvious bullet wound, we're not going to touch anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like a suicide, we got to make sure that there's no stab wounds, there's no bullet wounds. You know, if someone kills themselves, like we had alcohol poisoning, lady threw up everything inside of her, organs, everything. I have to roll that body around and make sure that she doesn't have stab wounds. I got to make sure there's no bullet wounds, that there's no signs of foul play. You know, and then I call a detective and say, hey, come on out and look at this. Or like they say, no, you can just release the body.
I mean, and you're dealing with this daily.
Yeah, and I got to like, dude falls into the crack between the bed and the wall. We got to pick him up and manipulate him so that we make sure it's like, oh, he just died in his sleep, or there's no signs of foul play. But it's like we do that, and then we immediately go to a traffic stop. You fucking stopped me because I'm Mexican. No, I stopped you because you ran a stop sign and almost killed this lady. And it's like, okay, cool. Like 15 minutes ago, I was just playing with a dead body.
And then that just
yeah
wears and wears and wears and chips.
But
and chips
there's no outlet for most people except for your buddies and you're drinking and it's after shift and you guys joke about it, talk shit, this and that, and then you go about your separate ways
and try to make light of it, but you're home laying in bed thinking about it.
Yeah, 1,000%. I don't think there's a cop out there that can truly say like, oh yeah, this shit doesn't bother me, because in that moment, like whether they're listening to this or listening to some call for service, they immediately have a call that they think of that relates to that. So it's not like, oh, it doesn't affect me. It affects you. It just may not be visible
Now,
you know, and
it's
like
visible to your kids because you're a raging asshole when you walk in the door, but
or like, hey,
you're fine.
Your wife left you, and it's like, oh, she was a bitch. Like, well,
Was she?
maybe not, you know, and you know, I think another part of it too, it's like I didn't have some crazy long career.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything where I was shot, nothing crazy. I considered myself like I was a competent deputy. I was able to do my job. I took care of my partners. I didn't shy away from a fight. I didn't shy away from reports. I showed up and I did my job.
Yeah.
Like I was a competent deputy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm a rock star, this and that. And I didn't do 30 plus years. Like I didn't do that. I did as much as I could before my life took the ultimate sacrifice. And like my perspective off what I've experienced and what I've seen, you know, if like that's just my perspective of it, you know, and if someone disagrees with it, then that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, I've gotten to the point now where I'm comfortable talking about it. Like I'm sweating, like this is uncomfortable, but I'm able to talk about it.
And I honestly really appreciate the conversation, because I feel it's guys like you with these stories and sharing them on any platform, or just talking behind closed doors to other law enforcement officers. There are thousands and thousands of cops that are in your shoes, which is what I'm realizing with how much feedback and how many cops are reaching out to us of how bad they're struggling, and there's nobody there to help them.
And I think a big part of it too is like cops use this excuse of like, I'm 15 years in, I'm vested, I can't leave, I don't have anything I can do after. Dude, I lived and breathed that job. Like, it's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't even entertain the idea of what I'm doing now. I didn't entertain the idea of training. I didn't entertain the idea of doing anything other than police work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that was taken away from me by something I couldn't control, I completely lost who I was. I had to re-find myself.
Yeah.
I had to re-find a purpose.
Okay.
And, like, that took a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And right now, money, like, dude, I don't care if I was 20 years in invested and could have retired with 90% of my pension. Like, you got to leave. There are things that cops can do outside that you'd succeed in and you'd make money in and be totally comfortable in. So
Absolutely.
many cops get sucked into the idea of, like, well, I'm in this for 10 years. I'm in this for 15
Gotta
years.
retire now.
Yeah, I'm stuck here. I can't do this and that. It's like, no. The reality is, like, what we've been trained to do is mind-blowing how it applies to jobs outside. I've been offered jobs that I'm like, buddy, I am not qualified for this at all. But because of the aspect of what I've done and how I've been trained, just simple communication skills.
Yeah.
Just simple having conversations with people.
People skills is such a
is-
valuable thing.
It's so valuable, and now it's becoming more valuable in having life experience and being able to communicate with people. It's becoming more valuable to the point where jobs are like, we'd rather have that than some degree.
Okay, let's jump into this then. So, you know, you've transitioned out.
Mm-hmm.
You're now lining yourself out. And I love the fact that you say that because it's the exact same for the military. I catch a lot of shit on it because I tell people all the time, like, do 4 and get out.
Yeah.
Just because you do 8 or 12 does not mean you have to career it.
Right.
For
Doesn't mean
one.
you're stuck there.
You're not stuck there. Oh man, I'm almost at the halfway mark.
No.
You're almost at the halfway mark. Then you got another whole half a fucking mark to go. Like,
Right.
if you don't, and if you're hating it now, it's just going to
Right.
keep piling on and getting worse and worse.
1,000%.
And then you realizing you have to find a new identity.
Yeah.
That's
That's the scariest thing.
the scariest thing, because most people don't realize that that's what they're looking for, or that's what they need to be looking for. And it's this, and I only speak for the veteran side because I'm not a law enforcement officer, but it's the same in the veteran community. It's, I'm a vet, disgruntled
All you've
vet,
known.
drink my Black Rifle coffee, wear my
Yep.
grunt style shirt, and rah rah rah.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool, dude, rock it. We're okay.
Let's separate.
You've done your time. What are we doing now? And I feel it's the same for the law enforcement community, for nurses, doctor, anybody that's dealt with the shittiest of the shit jobs,
Yeah.
which is any public servant, military, any of that. And then on top of that, dealing with the trauma, the bullshit, the harassment, just everything that comes with the title. Cool. We have to find that new identity. And that is the biggest thing that I'm trying to get guys now to start realizing. If not, you're going to be that grumpy asshole. You're taking it out on your kids. Your wife's your punching bag. You're your third or fourth, fifth wife.
Yep.
You're chasing the bottle every single night.
Yeah.
And it's sad because I feel a lot of guys in your situation, it takes a long time to realize where you're at now. And I mean, I'm dealing with vets that
And it's something that you don't have to wait until you're retired to do.
No.
Like, because here's the thing
No.
too, and I'm sure like vets do this too, because I'm not a vet, so I can only speak the law enforcement side.
Mm-hmm.
But like law enforcement officers, they stick with law enforcement officers. What we do on our days off, we hang out with our partners. We hang out with law enforcement officers.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
don't venture out. We don't
Absolutely.
do anything out of the ordinary. We just live and breathe. Hey, we're cops. We're going to hang out with cops. We're going to drink with cops. We're going to do cop stuff. We're going to do this and that. When in reality, I'm like, dude, you got to get out there and have separation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have separation, you could find something you truly love.
Mm-hmm.
I know deputies that they went on and they retired from the sheriff's office, and now they brew beer.
Yes.
And they're like, I absolutely love it. They went to school for it. They started over. They were a student. They became a brewer, and then now they're brewing beer for a company, and it's like it's the best thing he's ever done in his life. Yeah. And, you know, there's so many...
It's a new identity.
It's a new identity, and it doesn't have to start when you're done.
And it's
Having
just...
that separation is important.
It took me a long time to realize that, because I'd always surround myself with vets, the bros, right? The bro vets. And then
People who understand.
yeah, oh, these guys get it.
Yeah.
They get it. But when they're getting it, they're not helping you uplift yourself or change your mindset or your attitude.
They keep you there.
They keep you there because they get it. And it took me a long time because I'd hang out with these bro vets, and then I started realizing, "God, these guys, I don't find the vet dark humor funny.
No.
I don't laugh at it. I don't want to run around with silkies, ass grabbing, just doing the most douchery shit on these silky walk. That's just not me as a vet. And then I had to start finding, oh, this dude's successful. He's built companies.
Yeah.
Then I want to pick his brain. I want to sit at a table with him.
That's like John from UXO.
He's like a great example.
Perfect example of
Perfect.
He did his time. He saw his experiences, and then he progressed and did something for his community, and he's growing, and he's thriving, he's successful. It's like you can have the happiness and have purpose doing something away from what you're used to doing, because you get trained, you get it beaten into you, you get it like, hey, this is how it's going to be. This is your life from here on out. And it's like you need that separation to get you away from that.
It's healthy.
It's so healthy because it gives you a different perspective of life. You know, if you just have the negative mindset of, oh, we're drinking, talking shit about our wives, about work, this and that, my wife's a fucking ball and chain, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to do anything but be negative, you know? And so, like,
it's so important.
It's so important to get that difference and get something positive in your life, you know? And it's like, for me, I fell into powerlifting.
Yeah.
And that was so positive because it gave me a team bonding.
Okay.
Like, I became part of a team, and it gave me a sense of purpose again, where I'm like, dude, I can't drink because I got to perform. And then it was, oh, they train in the nighttime, like they train in the evenings. Oh, I'm not going to drink before I work out. So then it eliminated drinking during the day.
Good.
And so, like, I joined this team, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm actually pretty good at this. Like, why don't we take this a little bit more seriously? And then I started enjoying it a little bit more, and I found myself like, oh, I'm enjoying life a little bit. And it was like, oh, I can do things away from law enforcement. That's okay. And shoot, the people that I worked with, one of them spent time in jail, like a significant time in jail. Another one is an ex-addict. You know, he spent his 20s snorting cocaine, and now he's sober for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like each one of these people comes from a different walk of life that's not law enforcement. And it has grown my knowledge and appreciation for people in so many different ways. And like,
it's because you're not grasped onto this, I have to have the bros with me.
Yeah.
Now you're associating with somebody that you could have previously arrested, but you have a completely different mindset for it. Now it's like, yo, dude, like who are you? Instead of, oh, this dude's an addict, it's, oh, it's Frank.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then you're hearing their stories, and then you're able to look at people as a human, not a suspect or a bad guy, or, hey, this guy's a pain in my ass. Right. He's just a dude down the street, and he's got his struggles and battles, everything that we do.
Some of the coolest people I've ever met spent time in prison, like, or really shitty people in life. And it's like, yeah, they made changes, and now they're paying off their home within 3 years. They got successful businesses. And it's like, I would have never known that if I hadn't given them an opportunity to talk, you know? And like, that's where, and I know that there's people in my department that are disgruntled at the fact that, like, oh, you retired, blah, blah, blah. You weren't anything, this and that, talk shit, think less of me, you know, and it used to really bug me, you know, like my persona, like who they thought of me, it used to really bug me, you know, and now it's like, you know what, I actually feel bad for you because I think you are in this position, in this mindset of like, I'm stuck here, but you're doing something different.
It's pure jealousy. And
so now it's like, you know, I guarantee you if someone in the department, if they hear this and if it comes out or whatever, they're going to have some negative thing to say or whatever. And I'm like, cool, man. Like, this is
that's your experience. And this was your journey. It's you're starting new chapters. You're bettering your life. I don't get it as much. I get it from just the vet community when I talk about like why I got out, and people are like, you're a fucking quitter.
No. That's fine. You can believe what you want. Like, I'm doing something better for myself.
And if I quit.
Yeah.
You know, like if that was my choice, but I made the choice to better my life, start business, like it was my chapter, and I closed the chapter and moved on, and it's, you fucking quitter, you couldn't hack it. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine, man. That's your perspective.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like, and you're miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking shit on social media. Like I do it every now and then. I got to troll up.
Yeah.
Guilty. But I'm like, hey, like, dude, you're talking shit because I did 8 years. I deployed to Iraq twice. I was an instructor. I was one of the most I represented the most decorated division in the Marine Corps, traveled the world. And you're going to talk shit. It's like,
I did the time for me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. This was my journey.
Yeah.
And I feel that cops, firefighters, anybody, doesn't even athletes.
Yeah.
Anybody, and I feel like this is where I don't know where we get programmed where we have to, when we start something, you have to finish it and it's got to be 20. Jump around, man.
I don't know.
Experience things. Like, I don't know why we have this idea. Like,
Well, I think it's the idea based off of the fear of change, right? So like we have
For
a fear
sure.
of change. We don't like the uncomfortability of something new, foreign, and I
you're
think
uncomfortable.
yeah, it's the uncomfortable part because you don't know the outcome. Where it's safe and comfortable to show up to work and be like, I'm going to be here for 20 years and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd rather deal with the shitty parts of it, but I'm here for 20 years and I don't have to change.
It is the worst way to live your life.
1000%. Like
It's
right
the
now,
worst way.
quality of life is everything to me, you know? And it's like, dude, you couldn't pay me enough to get back in that uniform because I know for a fact I'd get in and be like, yeah, I'm good. I can handle it, this and that. But in a week, I would immediately back to be day one, you know?
It's not your
And
thing.
it's
And
not
that's
it,
and there's
know?
nothing wrong with that. And
No.
that's where it's like this stigma. If you don't, oh, you left early, or you left the brotherhood behind, you left
Yeah.
boys.
No.
Those motherfuckers haven't called me.
Exactly. You know, you got no problem talking shit. You got
Yeah,
no
who did
problem
I leave
saying negative
behind?
things. But when I first went out, where were you guys? You know? And it's like, I think that's across the board. I think it's just like, it was a harsh reality to see that I just became a number.
Yep.
And, you know,
It sucks.
it sucks. It sucks to see. It sucks to handle because in the moment when you're in briefing, when you're at coffee with all your guys, you're talking, joking, everyone's your friend, this and that. And then as soon as you leave, it's like, psh, gone. You know, you got 1-2 people here and there, but then even that dwindles and you're down to like one person that you talk to.
And that's where it's so important to realize, and it takes a lot of people a lot of years to realize, cool, it's perfectly healthy to close chapters and start new ones.
Yeah.
And then with those new chapters and closing old chapters, that's where you start, okay, maybe I don't need to be at the bar every single weekend.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe I don't need to be around these guys talking about only negative shit, or I don't need to be in these group chats where it's just trashing
Oh, yeah.
negative stuff 24/7, and that's all you're seeing is just negative, negative, negative.
It's funny because now it's even negative conversations are like, I think everyone knows a person that just every time you talk to them, it's something negative out of their mouth. And you're like, dude, just everything you say is negative. And I can't even handle that. You know, it's like, I don't even watch cop videos anymore. Because it's nothing but Monday morning quarterback, you know, and it's just like, well, they could have done this, they should have done that. I'm like, buddy, they did the best they could in that situation.
Absolutely.
Is it fucked? Yeah, but in his moment, in that time, like who
That
knows what he was
split
thinking.
second.
Yeah, dude. And it's like to judge and say this, and it's like, here's the deal: we can judge this in California because we know the California ways and the California rules and this and that. But in Tennessee, their rules could be very
They're
different.
allowed to
And
beat
it's
the
like,
shit out of you in some of these towns.
Exactly. And it's like in San Francisco, you can't handcuff someone without writing a use of force report. Whereas like in Sonoma County, if you look at me the wrong way, I'm putting you in handcuffs. Like it's just and there's no report, there's nothing. If I stop you and I don't want you in the car, I can drag you out of the car and put you in handcuffs. Like that's just the way it is. Detention, who cares if you're in the car detained versus detained in handcuffs, right? But San Francisco, you can't have someone sit on a curb. You can't have them on handcuffs. There's a million ways to do it, depending on where you are, what state you're in, what the policies are for that department. So for us to sit back and judge someone based off of just a video is like, you can't.
3 different angles. They got,
And who knows what segment you're seeing.
Yeah, and you're getting a
seeing
clip of it.
Yeah, you're seeing the shittiest 3 seconds comparatively. Like, hey, here's the 5-minute thing.
You didn't just watch this cop get his ass beat and fight for his life. You just see him on top handling
so
business.
I get it. You can't just Monday morning quarterback everything and just assume like, oh, this guy's an idiot, blah blah blah. It's like, buddy, you weren't there, you know. So I just stopped watching them because I can't.
Have to, dude, and that's part of maturing as well. You know, is realizing like it's like that. I get like that with politics. I start watching it, and then it starts festering. You know, especially being a vet. It's like, why are we making these decisions? Why is this happening? What the fuck is going on? You know, and then my wife sat me down. She's like, listen.
Yeah.
If everything goes to shit right now, what are you going to do? And I'm like, nothing. She's like,
and here's the thing, like the decisions that they're making, does it affect your everyday life? No.
Cool, my taxes, whatever, they're going to rape us on anything anyways. But like, my life's going to go on. I've got a roof over my kid's head. That's all I need to worry about. And so once you start realizing that and eliminating all the little pieces of cancer that just fester in you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a time and place to worry about things for sure.
For sure.
You know, the most part is like when you hyper focus on the negativity on things, you can pick everything apart. You know, like you can go through your house and be like, oh man, I really don't like this color. Oh, I really don't like this and that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like you're providing for your family. Your kids.
Instead, you're looking at, man, I got a roof. Man, I'm very fortunate that we were able to pay our bills.
And it's like, for me, I look back and I'm like, yeah, it wasn't a 30-year career. I could nitpick it and be like, I wasn't the best deputy. I wasn't the best partner. I think I could have done it longer, blah, 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 blah. But I look at the totality of it. I learned so much. I have grown so much. My mentality is different. My patience now is so much more than what it used to be. And the things I learned just from the people I interacted with and the things that I've been trained to do, like I apply everything I've taken from that and I apply it into my life in different aspects. And it's creating a successful life for me.
Good.
And
Good
it's
for you, man.
It's basically, it's okay to walk away from it. And it's like so many cops get so strung up on it. And it's hard to talk to them because they're closed-minded.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's the same. It's just how I think we're bred as the veteran law enforcement community. It's just, this is it. It's how it's got to be. Zero change. And it sucks, but this is part of it.
Yeah.
Fuck
100%.
that.
No.
If you're miserable and you're going home and bitching about it and you're not changing it, that's 100% on you.
1,000%.
I came home the day, and I've said it on this episode. I came home the day that I realized I was done with the Marine Corps. Done. And I told I think we weren't even engaged then. We were just dating. And I went home and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm done with the Marine Corps. I'm getting out. I was like, I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I don't like putting on my uniform. I love my boys. My team.
100%.
Fuck.
Yeah.
To this day. But I hated the staff. I hated my job. I wore civilian clothes home, and I'd come back and I never took anything. That's when I realized when I was leaving all of the Marine Corps at the Marine Corps and I wouldn't take any of it home. I was like, this shit ain't for me. And she asked.
Also, that's incredibly healthy because you're not taking it home.
It is.
So many people do take it home, and when you take the uniform home, you take and work with you.
100%.
And then you come into the house and you have that with you.
You had that stigma, whatever happened that day, you're carrying it with you. And so, I told her, I was like, I'm getting out. And she's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I have no idea, but this isn't it. And I was like, if I have to flip burgers at In-N-Out, I will do it. And she's like, all right. I'm like, let's go.
I mean, that was pretty much I had no idea what I wanted to do. I toyed around with ideas. I was like, this doesn't sound interesting. I worked part-time jobs.
Yep.
When I eventually could work, I started working. I was like, this is fun, but it's not giving me purpose. It's not giving me any enjoyment or fulfillment. And, the fitness thing has always been in my life.
That's what I was going to ask. So what's giving you your purpose now? Now that you've transitioned, you've had time.
Helping people. And so the fitness world, I did my thing in powerlifting. It gave me that sense of team bonding again. Okay. It gave me a sense of purpose, and it gave me the ability to push myself to mentally limits that I never thought was possible. You know? And it got me to the point where I was competing against people from all over the world. And the mentality behind that was I'm going to push myself and push my body to things that I didn't think I could do. And so it kind of proved that I'm capable of things.
Yeah.
I'm capable of doing things I didn't even dream of. And, I liked that aspect so much, and I liked the fact that hey, this is really motivating for me, and this is something that's beneficial. I had to hire a nutritionist. I had to hire a coach to help me get back into shape.
Yep.
Because I was fat. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was used to pizza, beer, pasta, and just doing whatever I wanted and just being fat.
Yeah.
And so I hired a coach, and she got me into shape again in a way that wasn't chicken and rice 8 times a day. And so she got me back into a healthy weight and actually feeling good with myself. And I was like, what you did for me was completely changing my life. And I wanted that for someone else. I wanted to be able to do that because it also associated with being a deputy. I wanted to change someone's life because there are times that I genuinely helped someone, and it was so rewarding and such a good feeling.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. Right.
Yeah.
And so it gave me that feeling of ooh, I want to help someone in some way that changes their life for the better.
Okay.
And so I fell into the fitness thing, did my powerlifting. I toyed around the idea of opening my own gym and promoting that. And then I was like, I don't think I have the capabilities of doing that. And so I went about a bunch of different side jobs, did things this doesn't really do anything for me. This doesn't really do that. Still competed, did the powerlifting thing, but I was always focused on how do I help people? How do I coach? How do I get into the fitness world and be a benefit to someone again? Because I wanted to benefit someone again. And I had a conversation with my dad, and this is actually kind of this was an eye-opening experience for me too, was before I moved here to Idaho. My dad called me randomly, probably a month or two before I moved here. And he was like, hey, random phone call. He's like, hey, man, I just want to check in on you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. You know, I'm fine. Like, I got my struggles, whatever. And he's like, Mom and I are really worried about you. We know you're struggling. We know you're doing the best you can. What can we do to help you? Because I know that you're struggling, and frankly, I'm worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it fucked me up because I've never seen him say or do anything emotional, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most conversation, like the deepest conversations we say, hey, you happy? Yeah, cool. Anything I can do? No, cool. That's the deepest we've ever gotten. So for him to call me out of the blue and say, like, I am worried about you. I want to make sure you're okay. How can we get you okay? And it struck a chord pretty deep. And I was like, okay, like I need to figure something out,
Yeah.
do something. And so I told him, I said, you know, I'm thinking about going to Idaho. And I got a bunch of buddies here. And I like it. I've been visiting. I think it's a good spot for me. And I think it would be really beneficial. Both financially, it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good spot for me to just start over. No one knows me. No one knows me as Robbie the cop. I don't have to go around asking, like, hey, can you sign this ticket? Hey, where do I go for this?
Clean slate.
You know, clean slate. And he was all on board. He's like, you got to do it. You have to do it. And he's like, you've exhausted your options here. You've tried things here. It doesn't work. That's fine. Let's go do this. He's like, when I was in college at your age, I was bouncing around couches. I was a homeless person. Like, I wasn't successful. He's like, it's okay to do this.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, cool. All right. Like, I'm glad my parents are behind that. And so I ended up moving out here, and I joined the Mecca. I love the gym. I love the atmosphere. And Garrett, one of the coaches there, he pulled me aside randomly. He's like, have you ever thought about coaching? I was like, I have. I'm not certified. I would need help, you know? And like, I just don't know anything about it really, but anything in the fitness or gym world I'm all about, right? And I want to do something in that. And he's like, okay, well, like, let's have a conversation. So we ended up sitting down talking about like how the training goes at the Mecca, how the trainers are supported, and how they have a good system with getting clients into me and stuff like that. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. And at the time I was working for ELM Utilities. It was like a locating job. So I located gas and power lines. And it was still winter here. So it was like I was out in the snow, rain, shitty weather, cold, and I'm locating gas and power lines. And I remember I located like 600-700 feet of power in the snow and mud. And I literally said, this is for the birds, dude. Like, this sucks. And so I got in the car, put in my 2 weeks notice, and I called up the gym. I think I called Laura, and I was like, hey, I want to go full-time at the gym. If you guys can support me out, like, help me in the beginning, give me some hours, whatever, like, I'll do whatever, but I'll be full-time. And they said, yeah, absolutely. So they brought me on full-time, started training people. I got clients pretty quick, and I'm still building clients.
Good for you, dude.
Dude, it is so rewarding.
Yeah.
To actually have people come to me asking for help, because that's what I was used to doing.
Okay.
It was like people would call and ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, and half the time, you know, no one's happy about calling the cops, but there's a small portion of calls where you show up and people are genuinely like, thank God you're
relieved.
here,
Yeah.
you know? And so having people come to me and like, I need help. Can you help me? And I said, yeah, like, let's figure this out. And so having those clients come into me and starting to do that, like, I feel fulfilled again. I feel like I'm getting me back.
Good,
you know?
man. Good.
Like, it took a long time for me to get, in a sense, like Robbie back.
Yeah.
Because I was always a fun person, free, didn't care about things, funny. Like, I liked hosting, I liked doing everything, and I just became so secluded and sucked away. And like, doing this has really like changed it. And it's like, I'm getting a version of me. I'm getting a version of me that's coming back.
Good,
I
man.
absolutely love it.
Good, dude. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, you know, I see you in there, and you always got a smile on your face. You're always with somebody, helping somebody.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to be able to hear, do the bullshit and the trials and tribulations that you've gone through, and to now finding your groove and feeling accomplished again because you're able to help people in a completely different way. But that's what's so scary, man. And I commend you for making the jump, because a lot of dudes, that's like, you're in that position now where it sucks.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable.
Dude, I came to a place, I have no family here.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know anyone. I had a couple buddies, but they got families, jobs. They have their own lives. You know, I didn't have any support system here, so I created everything, you know, and it was like terrifying. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, you know, and, but like, it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Good, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad we've had this conversation.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
it's an eye opener, and you know, I don't expect every show to be like this wild, crazy fucking shootouts, and I prefer them to not be that way. And honestly, I prefer these is because it's real and it's raw.
Yeah.
And there's so many guys that are out there right now that are in your previous shoes that are either too scared to jump, they feel they're too committed, or they're too many years in. Whatever their excuses are for not changing their stars, and I'm one of those. I tell the girls all the time, and we preach it here. Like, if you're not happy, change it. And if you're not happy and you're not making changes, shut the fuck up.
Right.
And suck it up, bottle it all away, and live your miserable life, because that's your only option.
It's your decision that you're making. You're putting yourself in that position.
And I get it, and people are like, oh, you just can't quit yet. That's what forces you to make changes.
It's not even quitting, you know. It's just like, it's making that conscious effort to be like, you know what, I need to do something better for myself.
Yes.
You know, because quitting, it's like a bad word for a lot of people, but it's not necessarily quitting. It's
moving on, changing your life, bettering yourself.
I got to do something to better myself and better my quality of life.
And it goes for wives too. We got a lot of law enforcement, military wives that listen to us. And dude, if your husband is miserable,
say something.
Help support him.
Yeah, it's
I feel women are the other side that we won't even need to really get into it, but it's having a supportive foundation of a wife. We need your benefits, we need your pension.
No.
And you mean to tell me you're happy with your husband going off and slowly dying every single day on that shift or on patrol? Or
so prime example is like, it was the American dream. It was high school sweethearts. Had a boy, had a girl, had a golden retriever, beautiful house, camper RV, and they had been together for 12, 13 years, happily married. And she rolled over in bed one day. I was like, I don't recognize you. I resent you, and I can't stand looking at you anymore, and walked out. And it's like, you change so much over time that you don't want to talk to your spouse about anything. So you come home, you're shut down, you're shut off. You alienate yourself from your wife.
Which is horrible to do.
It's horrible. And then it's like so many, like, there's a lot of women out there guys, they get into a relationship with a cop or firefighter or vet or current combat military guy. And, you know, it's like, ooh, I'm dating this person. Like, ooh, I'm dating it for the status of it, right?
You don't realize what comes with it.
It's like, you have no clue what comes with it. And you're right. It's a whole subject that we could talk about another time, but it's like, having a support system at home where you can freely talk about things is so rare.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to happen, because if you're open with your spouse or your significant other or whatever, if you're open with them about everything, then there's no room for like, why is he shut off? Why is he not talking to me? Oh, is he seeing someone else? Oh, is he talking to someone else? Is this happening?
It eliminates a lot of the doubt. And I had that conversation actually with TJ Webb on that episode with his wife, Amanda. And she said one of their because I asked him, I'm like, how did you make it? 19 years. I mean, they met together, you know, right as he became a cop. She was in the same field. And so she did 19 years with him in the law enforcement community. And I asked, like, how did you make it work? And it was communication. Like, they would talk about it. And I feel it's a huge red flag if your spouse is coming home and they're shut off from it. Like, you need to,
unload.
And if you're, I don't care who they are. If they're, I don't need to talk about it. Bullshit, man. I know some of the toughest motherfuckers on this planet that have done some of the most craziest shit that I wish I could have them come and talk about on this episode, because people would be mind blown. I'm talking being in countries with just one or two dudes.
Yeah.
Murking motherfuckers. These are some of the hardest dudes I know. And they will cry in front of their wives. They will cry with their wives. They will tell their wives everything, because it's healthy to be able to get all of that off of you. And when you're not wearing it and you don't feel that weight, you're just a happier person. And then that reflects on everything else in life. Yeah. So it's such a crucial thing, I feel. And I feel like that's a reason that I'm even here today, is because of the relationship I have with my wife and being able to communicate it with her. Like, I would be one of those guys that just
Yep.
I'm good.
And then it creates resentment, and then it creates that
Big
like
time
misunderstanding and hatred.
Yeah,
you know?
and then
It's like,
you're two ships passing in the night, and they don't know what's going on. So I think that's a huge role is being able to. And then when your husband wants to make that scary jump, fuck the pensions and the retirement and the
yeah,
or well we got a guaranteed paycheck. Is it worth their health?
right.
Is it worth this dude chasing a bottle every night, chasing women, chasing gambling, whatever else comes along with the community? Is that worth it?
No, it's not. You know,
or
at the
is
end, it's not.
or is knowing your husband is started a new chapter, making less money, may not have the pension or retirement anymore, but he's happy and he comes home, loves his kids, your relationship's great with them. Like, what's it worth?
Right.
And I feel so many people get stuck in that groove of like, this is the American dream. It's not. If you're miserable and not happy, it's not the American dream.
No.
It's
And
not.
like,
It's a nightmare.
you also get addicted to the money too. You know, it's like overtime was you could easily get checks that are $4,000 or $5,000
Really.
easily. You know, and you get addicted to that money aspect where you're like, I'm going to work as
Start
much as I
chasing it.
can. You know, and I was like, I'm young, I got no kids, no wife. Like, I'm going to work
Mhm.
as much as I can. You know, and then it's like that's addicting. You know,
Mhm.
we have deputies that make 250 plus a year, and all they do is work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, the second you stop working, you're going to die. And two, you don't see your family. You're constantly working.
Yeah.
You miss baseball games, soccer games, whatever.
What's it worth?
And it's like, dude, it's not worth it, you know?
That's when you hit that chapter, and everybody's different, stages. But when you hit that chapter of just, man, I really got to focus on quality of life.
1,000%.
Everything changes.
100%.
Everything
yeah.
Everything
And
changes.
life becomes easier.
So easy. And then
Like, dude.
there's somebody negative comes to your life. You're like, meh,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm good without that guy. I'm good. I don't need that group. I'm
1,000%.
cool. I don't need to go back there. And then you start picking up on that. And then you're like, man, that guy had a really good vibe. Like we chilled and just bullshit. I don't want to be friends with him, but like I can kick it with the dude. And then at least that's the stage I'm at now. My friend applications are closed.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I mean, it's totally like that. You know, quality of life and being happy and content with where you're doing, with where you are and what you're doing, is everything to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, like you couldn't pay me enough to get back in that uniform.
I don't blame
Even
you.
if it was restarting with no history, with no past, but I knew what it was, I wouldn't do it. You know, I just wouldn't do it. I like
it's for some and it's not for others. And
1,000%.
and there's nothing wrong. It's with everything.
Yeah.
Military.
Some people love it. Some people thrive in it, and like that's their thing. I'm
Good
all
on
for
'em.
it. I thought that was for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't until I actually did the job, and that's unfortunate because it's unfortunately you don't know until you're there.
Yep.
You know, and that's kind of where you can Monday morning quarterback it. Like, oh yeah, you could have done 30 years, no problem. It's like, yeah, but you weren't there.
Yep.
You know?
When I joined the
You
Marine
don't
Corps,
know.
that was my goal. I'm retiring from the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
This is it. 8 years in, I'm like,
Yeah, you're absolutely. Yeah.
not it. This
Yeah,
is
exactly.
not it. You
Yep.
know, and
You become more established. You get familiar with people. People start opening up to you and telling you things. You're like, this is fucking worst.
Well, I just started really watching the leadership.
Mm.
I'm like, God, these guys are fucking miserable.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
There's a couple. I had some solid ass dudes
Yeah.
that mentored me, but I would say the majority of them, and everywhere you go, everyone's grump assholes. Everyone's just an asshole, and I'm like,
and then it's like other people are complaining, like, oh, he's a sergeant now. He's such a dick, this and that. When, like, hey, 2 months ago, he was sitting at the same coffee table, and you guys were having the same conversation about that sergeant. Like, so, and it's true, because we'd have deputies that get promoted to sergeant, and as soon as they got those stripes on, oh, we can't trust them.
Yeah.
Oh, this and that. It's like, yeah, cool. But then they also get to a point where they're able to make their own agenda. They can actually make that kind of happen.
yeah,
So people get carried away with that as well.
For
you know?
sure.
And so like the admin does get very flawed in the aspect of like people are out for their own agendas once they get to a certain point.
it's crazy. That I have a guy that I'm trying to get on, and he's very, very all about. He calls out the administrative side on police departments. So I'm trying to get him on. But what's wild is, I feel we have to completely hard reset all departments. I
Yeah.
feel like they have to go under one, because due to the corruption.
Everyone's got their own agenda because you become a politician. Like
Yes,
at a certain level, you
yes.
become a politician, and
Yes.
it's like this is what I need to do to get to,
To
the
get
next
to the
step.
top, and I'm gonna
gonna
fuck
crush
everybody in the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
and it's sad. And then you're leaving your boys behind, or you don't. They feel you don't have their back.
Yeah,
And I mean, dude, it was really sad. A guy left a comment the other day, and he goes, "My admin would rather see a dead cop than a civilian."
see, and then yeah,
And I crushed. I'm like, we don't want to see anybody dead, but like, dude, if your own people are like, well, we'd rather sacrifice one of you than somebody. I mean,
we had a deputy get shot. He got shot in the face, like peppered up in the face. And the mayor of the city was like, thank God the suspect is okay, is alive, this and that. Didn't comment on the deputy, didn't do anything. Didn't say a fucking word about it. I'm like, where, dude, come on.
See, then you're like putting that badge on and you're like, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but like you're proud, like after your mayor just is not even supporting you. Like I would be done. I immediately would be done with that. There's no money, there's no position, there's no title worth it in the world to not have the support of your community of doing something.
I agree.
I get it. But well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I didn't do it in the beginning, which we normally do. TJ, which was our guest, he left me a couple books. He said if there's ever any law enforcement, so I want to send you home with his book.
Cool.
Are you a cigar guy?
I am.
Cool. This is the War Machine. He started Platoon Cigars. So he was a combat Marine, got out, became a cop, and he got shot in the line of duty. He's actually, I think he's going to come out next month and finally get on the show.
Right.
And then Sea State Coffee will send you home some cold brew and some of his roasted coffee beans. He's a recon Marine.
Oh, cool.
He's here local. Then, as always, the girls whipped you up a fresh loaf of sourdough from the Sour Bee.
Yeah.
It's not a flavored one, but honestly, that warm with some butter on it, it fucks.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it.
It's one of my favorites. What size shirt are you?
Double X.
I got a badass. Okay. I've been holding on to this shirt for a 2X, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is
Is it the shirt I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's an XL. I thought I had a 2X. Hold on,
Shoot, I'm shriveling away. I could wear a 2X or just an X.
No way. I know I have it in here. Bingo.
Yes.
I don't know if you're. What size is this? I swore this was 2X. Yeah, 2X. I don't know if you're a religious man. But this is a badass. He's a law enforcement officer. He's still active duty. He's out of SoCal, God-fearing lifting club. So
Cool.
He's bringing law enforcement and veterans together through fitness and trying to get everybody Bibles and go through scripture. And he's doing a really cool thing. So give him a follow. He's handed me some shirts to give to some guys. I haven't had a big ass cop on yet, so except for you.
Sweet, dude.
So yeah, man, check it out. They all have scriptures on them. They're actually, I don't have that shirt. I need to get it, but yeah, he's a cool dude. So I give law enforcement and veteran companies just to send us stuff and to give the guests. And so
awesome.
try to plug them for free. And so if anybody's listening, I don't know, maybe it catches on and other episodes start doing just to help out guys in the community. So
awesome. It needs to be more like that. You know?
yeah, I just feel it's until somebody wants to pay us.
Right.
Start making money on this.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, dude, I really appreciate your time, man. This is an incredible story. It's like you look at a guy like you in the gym, there's this big ass fucking gorilla in there. And you know, and everybody just wants to kind of like, oh, this is a big meathead, but you know, and no, I'm not meaning that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah, I mean,
but you hear your story, man. It's incredible, and the shit you've had to deal with and see as a law enforcement officer. And I'm really grateful for you to come on and just share some of those stories because more people need to hear what the hell our law enforcement are going through every day. And it's so funny because if you rewind 10, 15 years ago, I mean, I was just fuck 12.
Yeah.
I ran any chance I had. I mean, I'm doing it just, I was that. It's all my fault.
Right.
I was, every time I got pulled, I'm like, fuck, they got me, you know, like whatever. But as we've grown and I have with our charity, we have a law enforcement program that helps cops get free training. And that like really opened my eyes to these guys writing into us and how they get no support and any of that. And then now with the podcast, just having a conversation with a guy.
Yeah.
I'm just, every time I'm blown away by what cops are dealing with. And it's just,
there is a very large lack of accountability with admin departments and how they take care of their guys. You know, they take care of them training wise, vacation, sick time, whatever. Yeah, that's cool. But as far as taking care of them as a human being, there's a very large lacking.
Just so sad.
Of it. Yeah.
So sad. And like I was joking about with a buddy not too long. I'm like you take cops, like, you know, old school cop show, live PD.
Yeah.
I feel that is such an injustice to how real policing is. Because, let's tune in to Fort Lauderdale and some guy's chasing a dude and tackles him in a...
That's not... That's not how.
I don't hear any of that
Yeah,
shit.
no.
Like it's the going into a room with this teenage girl overdose. That's the stuff they're not showing. Like I think Live PD needs to be showing more of the reality of what's going on, because I feel as this country we're just like, oh, they're cops, they're great,
Yeah.
he's good. No, you're good,
Exactly.
good, cool,
Yeah.
and we move
Or
on
like,
with our
oh,
lives.
You signed up for that job. You did that job. You're like, okay, well, I didn't sign up for that part of it, and to just be ignored.
Yep.
You know, and like,
Yeah, I didn't sign up to be hated on just because I'm wearing a uniform. I didn't sign up to have to not help people, and I'm the bad guy in every situation. I'm sure most cops sign that dotted line because they want to help their community.
Right.
You want to protect and serve your community. I get it, and that's the protecting and serving is probably you're just dealing with the bull. I mean, I get the serving probably has come with the bullshit, but nobody's signing. You don't know what you're signing up for. I mean, you do, but the ins and outs of dealing with a homeless person with MRSA and some dead dude fell in between his bed and rotting all summer, like that's not in the fucking
that's not in the manual.
That's not in the recruiting videos that you're watching. Signing up for it.
I remember this was a long time ago, and it was a retired law enforcement guy. He was given like a speech, inspirational speech, and he described it like this because he did have military background, and you could probably touch base on this a little bit more. He's like, there's a difference between military and law enforcement in the aspect of military goes on tour. You guys are gone for 6 months, and then you leave the shit behind. Whereas law enforcement, they're on tour
every day,
365 days a year, and they don't get to leave that behind.
And you're in your community doing it.
And it's in your community, and you're doing it where you live. And he's like, there's a very big difference between being able to go somewhere and then leave it behind versus having to deal with it. Because I guarantee you, every cop on their day off, I was just home a couple weeks ago, and I was showing the girlfriend, and as I'm driving to the gym, I was like, I've arrested him, I've dealt with him, you know, and it's like, I haven't done that job in years, and I'm still able to pinpoint, like, yeah, I've talked to him, I've arrested him, this and that, and it's like, I don't get that escape. You know, and so like law enforcement, we don't get that escape. I guarantee you, every cop that is in Sonoma County or in the county that they work, wherever they are, on their days off, they've had to sit down at a restaurant, and they see someone they recognize, you know, and it's like, you don't have that escape.
That sucks.
You don't have that tour.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. I don't know what needs to change in this country. If cops need to fall under, and I've talked about it and kind of brought it up before, if cops need to fall under almost like government, like the military style, where it's across the board. They get the VA, they get the benefits. Because just because we're going to combat and we're fighting in some foreign country, we get everything provided for us. But dude, you guys are dealing with way more shit than 99% of veterans are dealing with. I would love
to see some organization come together where it's promoting some sort of mental health thing, where it's just like, hey man, you had a bad day at work, like, let's just talk about it, and make it more open and more non-taboo. You know? Because I think
where you're not getting crucified or going to be punished for being able to communicate, because that's the biggest thing that I have the hardest time wrapping my mind around the law enforcement community is you're expected to do so many shitty things, but then you can't talk about it or go get help about it, because then you're labeled and you're flagged, and then that goes in your record and whatever else. But that's a whole other rabbit hole. But dude, I appreciate your time, man.
No, thank you.
This is a great conversation. I'm really glad we got to get to know each other and shoot the shit. And if you ever need anything from us, you know where I'm at. And I'm sure I'll see you later in the gym.
Absolutely. So I'll be there.
But
live there.
Yeah, thanks, dude. I really appreciate your time. This was an eye opener, and I think a lot of people are gonna be able to relate to a lot of this. And it's guys like you telling your story and being able to come out and be open with it. And I hope that encourages more law enforcement, cops, vets, whatever, to be able to come.
I don't think of my story as anything crazy or special, but like if one person relates to it, then I'm okay with that.
I'm sure they will, dude.
So thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Always, man. Thank you. This was great, man. This was